Well, hello and welcome, everyone. We are the Shills. The pub. So let's get around the table with Jimbojo and see what everybody's up to. Jimbojo, take it away, brother.
Thanks very much, Dick Dawson. It's good morning, good afternoon, and good night, wherever you are. I'm Jimbojo, and you're watching the Shills Midweek Pub Chat, and we are still the Shills. Today, we're going to be spending a good long while chatting to our guest, because there's a whole wealth of stuff going on in the community right now, and he's at the very top of the pile when it comes to staying in touch with the skeptic community. But before we introduce him once more around the bar to see who's in the pub tonight for our little logical lock-in. So, Dick Dawson, how are you doing, mate? You got anything up this week?
Well, actually, I don't quite this week, but in just a few days, we got some really good stuff coming up on World Model Feud. It's going to be fantastic. Now, because we've had a few extra episodes coming up this week in the Shills, I haven't had quite the time to do it, but it will be soon. So, definitely watch this space.
Fantastic. Look forward to it immensely. Next, Jutmonkthedrunk Monkey. Oi! How you doing, mate?
Oi, fucking oi!
Oi, fucking oi. How you doing, buddy?
Yes. I'm cool, man. I'm good. Just finishing off my shuttle disaster. Waiting on a certain something from a certain shill.
Literally working on it right now.
Well, now I look forward to that. This is the new channel, which is a hoax is not a truth, which we've all been plugging away furiously.
Truth is not a hoax. Yeah.
Was it? What did I say? The other way around? Yes. Whatever you said. Sorry, buddy. All right.
And if you haven't seen the Mr. Sensible mirror, watch it, because I think it's quite funny. I sprinkle some monkey throughout and fill in a phone call.
I say, well, I'll have to have a look at that then. Brilliant stuff. All right, well, next we've got DeadKennedyInSpace. Hello, buddy. How are you doing? You got anything you want to shill for this week?
I'm doing pretty great. As far as shilling goes, I've got some stuff coming out this week, but I'm so scattered that I can't really properly shill it. I'll just shill Jutmonk's channel. Truth is not a hoax, because I get to have a small part in that shuttle disaster video.
Excellent stuff. Well, yeah, I can recommend people definitely need to get over and have a look at those. That's fascinating stuff indeed. Sarcastic Barman, hello, sir. How's the pub trade treating you at the moment?
Oh, there we go. Almost forgot to unmute that.
Ooh, nearly.
It's been a quietish day, but nice and sunny, so I can't moan too much.
Lovely.
Got a video coming out tomorrow, so I'm looking forward to that. Episode 2 of my stupid conspiracies. So pyramids and dinosaurs, always good for a laugh.
Ooh, lots and lots of fun. Brilliant stuff. Now, how about Logical Troglodyte? Hello, sir. You're here, aren't you?
Yes, sir, I am. How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing just dandy, thank you very much. Feeling really good. How about you?
We're doing well. We're just really, really busy in Cave Town. We've got, what is that, Monday? No, the 22nd, midnight, the morning of. We have episode 2 of Logic and Reason. We will be exploring the conspiracy theorist claims that math is not reality with AT2 Productions and Mike Bertelson. Mike the engineer will be joining us. And then on the 28th, 9 p.m. Central Daylight Time in North America, which is 0300 British Summer Time on the 29th, we will be having a live subscriber special on Logical Troglodyte.
Oh,
yes.
Brilliant stuff. Well, look, that's going to be amazing. So, look, everyone listening in the chat now, you've got to remember to get down and look at that. Every single one of our people who's on, the stuff they're producing, all of the shills and the guests, everything is all going to be featured in our description. So make sure you get over there at some point, save some of those links, because there's some fascinating stuff coming. Now, last on the list, I think we've got Steaming Cup of Reason. Hello, sir. How's life on, well, you're living in the future about 6 hours, so halfway between me and Anti-Platter. How's it going?
Oh, things are going all right. It's actually first time I've actually been able to join one of these weekday pub chats, so it's nice to be here.
It is, isn't it? Now, you've made this fantastic effort of getting out of the bed at ludicrous o'clock in the morning just to be here, so I should give you an extra note of thanks for that one. I wondered if there was anything that you wanted to shill for while you're here.
Actually, Logical pretty much said it all. Working on getting my next Friday Night Mega Mirror out, and it's going to be a special one, someone we all know, not going to say yet. And Logic and Reason we got coming up on Sunday, which Logical just filled you in on. So that's it.
Absolutely. Well, I'll take a very great pleasure in going to see that, because I've been hearing about it for a long time. I think it's going to be really interesting. Now, also on the panel today, we've got Brainy Bean joining us. How are you doing today, sir?
Not too bad. How you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing pretty good. I just wanted to know while you're here, because you're going to be a shill for the evening, that gives you the opportunity to shill away for any stuff you got going. So have you got any videos or streams coming out? Are there any other people that you'd like to sort of highlight people's attention of? Anything like that?
Off the top of my head, I'm working on. When I say working on, I've got to get myself motivated and get working a little harder on it. But I'm working on a video. Snow is fake. I found it fairly offensive as a Canadian. And see, there's some fun in that one because I understand the thermodynamics behind what the guy's trying to do with it, and it's a lot of hilarity to me. And then I've been working on. I've done a little bit of game streaming lately, which was actually not. I was experimenting in the evenings with if I'm going to be playing games, streaming them a bit, but that wasn't going so hot for the channel. I saw an immediate fluctuation in my numbers, so I put an end to that experiment pretty quick. But I'll post in the chat. I've got a Brainy Beaver Games channel now, so if I'm going to be gaming in the evening, and I'll put it up on there.
Okay, no,
that's about it for me right now.
Lovely. All right. Well, thank you very much indeed. We'll come back to you at the end of the show for another chance of that. And of course, we'll be talking to you in the meantime as well. Now, delicately tuning the nuanced elements of production and occasionally hitting it with a hammer, we have Tatty Bogle himself back in the driving seat. Hello, mate. How are you doing, Squire? Is there anything you wanted to mention before we kick off for the evening?
Good evening, all right, troops. Yep, I'm absolutely fantastic today. The one thing that I was going to show, and I shall be mentioning this again on Thursday when both Logical and hopefully Steam and Cup of Reason are here, is their new channel. Next stream will be out this weekend. I'm sure Steam and Cup of Reason will give you all the details, but please do come along, check us out.
Brilliant stuff. Thank you very much indeed. Okay, now, last of all, but not least, of course, we have the delightful Kiri Mac, who is with us once again. Now, obviously, if you've got any comments or questions for us or for the guests, or you just want to say something, at the Shills, she'll get that message. She'll make sure that it gets read out or read to us or whatever the appropriate thing is. So please get on that right now. Get in the chat. Get excited. The other thing I want to say is our usual question to the mods, which is please be careful. We may get people in here calling you an arsehole. Please don't kick them out immediately. We will, after all, be calling them an arsehole back. Other than that, sort of thank you for doing the job that you're doing. Right, you've met the team. It leaves me only to remind you that I'm Jimbojo. I talk to people, and my cat debunks Flurf, and he'll be out with a little something in the next couple of days. So that's us. Now for the guest. Why introduce him, really? You know him. We all love him. It is the Don of debates himself and the father of one of the best loved shows in the entire skeptic community. It's Steve McRae. Hello, sir. Well, how the hell are you, and what are you doing on our pokey little show?
I'm lost. Where am I? I heard there was alcohol here. I didn't know we were going to talk about this. What was that word? Brainy, what was it? Thermodynam. Yeah, no, I just want to drink. What's up, Al?
Thermodynamics.
That's it. Thank you. Yeah. I didn't know it was going to be into that smarty stuff.
Barman, get him a drink, will ya?
I don't even believe you, Steve. You're the smartest person.
Will do.
Brilliant. Now, look, I cannot believe that there is a single person here who doesn't know who you are. But perhaps the best way to describe you is to get you to describe you. So if you had to describe roughly who you are and what you do, how would you put it in a nutshell, Steve?
I'm a guy that fell into YouTube to try to make the world a better place by eliminating stupid people one at a time. In a nutshell.
Amen.
Nice. I know. I when I started on YouTube, it was basically just debunking Earth creationism. I happened to engage with Ken Hovind way back in the day, and I kind of put him in his place, and I guess it kind of evolved from there. Then we got into that whole flat Earth thing.
But you're so mean to people, Steve.
I know. Well, here's the thing. Look, by the way, my catchphrase. Look, I don't know why I do that. I'm never going to change. Deal with. But when I'm
mean to people, I think people need to just get a grip of themselves and learn to take a joke or just you know what I mean.
I'm just blunt. I'm very blunt. I'm very I guess I don't mix my words when I'm dealing with certain people, right? I will give
especially on Twitter.
Especially on Twitter. Yeah, Twitter, Steve. I don't have the time or the patience to really deal with people I find to be dishonest agents. And I'm noticing a lot more in these people and these discussions and dialectics are becoming more and more dishonest in their approach. And as I move forward in my growth and the people that I want to grow with me, we just don't have the time or patience for that. And I'm just very turt with them. I don't really want to sit there and say, look, if you disagree with me, that's great. Let's have a discussion. But if you're going to disagree with me and then you're going to drop in all this petty BS and try to come after me personally or just be offended because I use some terminology that you're not familiar with and you got pissed off or you don't want to actually address the topics, that's your business. I'm not going to coddle you. And maybe that comes across as aggressive. Maybe that comes across as being an asshole. I'm okay with that, but I've never been an asshole to people that don't deserve it. You know what I'm saying? Does that make sense? I mean, I really don't want to be an asshole, but and I don't think that I am.
Agnostics.
Yeah, that's a lot of, yeah, I guess there's a lot of people there. That's for sure.
Yeah, and
you know what? I've had the same conversation. I think I've said the same thing to somebody before. So I was like, "Fucking hey!"
Anybody who's dealt with flat earthers gets this, I think.
Yeah,
exactly.
We've heard a lot of it. I know DeadKennedyInSpace has something you wanted to jump in with. Hello, buddy.
Well, I just wanted to ask Steve a question because I think you mentioned on Twitter at some point that that Darth Dawkins, aka his various pseudonyms, has you on his troll list, right?
Yes.
What did you do to get there?
Shown him to be wrong multiple times.
I mean, that's not hard to do, right? I assumed it's either that or you just plain didn't follow his script.
Yeah. Well, he definitely. Okay, he has a script. There's no question about that. And once you get him off that script, he becomes very agitated, very aggressive.
Oh, yes.
And anybody who's ever dealt with Darth Dawkins knows this. Now, I said a long time ago, there's a video on Darwin's Greatest Hits, who has a bunch of collection of videos, mostly dealing with things that Darth Dawkins has said. And one of the videos, I can't remember the name right off the bat, but it has me introducing the topic basically, which is that he has a troll list of people that have asked him one of 18 questions that he refuses to answer. And he says there's no such list. He's never done that. And then there's like 10 people talking about it. And he asking him these questions and he just buggers off.
Brilliant.
That's how you get on his troll list. Ask him one of those 18 questions.
Well, now, speaking of the whole Twitter situation, you're a bit of a don on Twitter. You've got this huge following. You seem to be awake literally 24 hours a day in order to respond to people. I wondered if you wouldn't mind giving people a bit of a sort of a history of how it is you got to where you are now on Twitter, because every time I go on, you are about 20% of the things that I'm reading. So it's your responses and your retweets to various people. Obviously, you're involved a lot in this sort of debunk and skeptic community. So what was it that got you onto Twitter? Total accident, by design? And how long's it been going on for?
No, I hated Twitter. I didn't want to go on Twitter. I've only been on Twitter like 2 years. But I started whenever you only had 140 characters. Remember back in that day before you had 240?
Blimey.
280. Yeah. Now so you had to be really brief. And I
punchy.
didn't get the people punchy, right, snappy, just to the point. And so I got to that stage where I was just doing really quick replies and retorts rather than these long, intricate things you can kind of do now because you have a lot more character space. And I just kind of stayed with that. And so people take it as being abrupt, but it's me just throwing it out there and getting to the core of the matter and not really having much exposition on it. And again, that comes across as being Twitter Steve or asshole. But I'm really not. And I have literally gone to DM with people saying, hey, this is not really conducive to having a discussion on this. And I will spend hours with them in private messages trying to explain to them certain concepts because I actually want people to learn these things. That is my goal. It's not just to argue with people. I don't even like arguing with people that much. People don't think, or people think for some reason that I love to have arguments. And in a way that's kind of true. But an argument doesn't mean what people think it means. Argument doesn't mean fight in these instances. Argument means two people with different positions having a civil disagreement and dialectic to try to find the truth. That I do enjoy.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, that to me seems to be the basis of how non-sex started all those years ago when it was, but you had this tagline, which was opinions are sacred. And regardless of like non-sec now, it seems to have been a sort of a watchword in the way that you've carried on your online life, which is that you like to engage in sometimes unpopular debates or sometimes on subjects that people find contentious. And of course, because you're very straightforward about how you argue, I think of it as pragmatic myself. What that means is that you get a lot of people who sort of get shown they're wrong, going away quite sore about it. I know that I wouldn't say dispute exactly, but there's a certain famous dispute between you and the ACA over the use of the term atheist, right? Now, I happen to fall on your side of the camp on this one, but I wonder whether or not you'd be willing to explain briefly exactly what that is going on there.
Okay. Well, as you said, I do like to explain things. And so with the ACA and all that, unfortunately, I call it like I see it, and I do something that a lot of people don't do. I actually provide actual evidence for my argumentation called
Yeah.
citations. And people actually have called me out for that. They're saying you shouldn't have citations. I'm like, you think that's a bad thing? I don't quite get that when you're saying here's
That doesn't make
what
a
I'm
ton of
quoting.
sense.
It doesn't. Anybody's written a term paper or any kind of paper or anything like that has had to do citations. I took when I took college
How
English.
dare you give me all the information I need to corroborate your information myself?
I had an A+ in MLA format, even though I never had to use it. I had to take MLA formatting, so people know you have MLA and Chicago style and APA. So I had to learn how to do these types of actual things to cite things properly, even though I don't use it in my citations, but I understood the need for citations. And with the ACA, when it comes to like Matt Dillahunty and Aaron Ra, who I have the greatest amount of respect for, they don't think that I do, but I really honestly do. I have nothing against either one of them. It's nothing personal. I mean, in fact, I really enjoy Aaron. I think he's one of the nicest guys I've ever met. But when it comes to certain things they say, I have expressly demonstrated beyond any kind of reasonable measure that I think they're fundamentally flawed on certain things. And yet they continue to try to attack me personally, trying to diminish my knowledge level, my intelligence, and my arguments by coming after me personally. And I don't quite understand the need for that, because you can attack my arguments if you want, but I'm backed by like a lot of stuff. I mean, a lot of citations, a lot of experts. I've never seen them ever cite anything. And if they do it so incorrectly. They'll cite flu, for example, and they'll kind of get it wrong. So I'm wondering if they actually read flu. So that's the disconnect there. Is that I think they put out a narrative that I disagree with, but they do have material facts that are not open to subjective evaluation. Material facts are objective.
You can read the flu, not catch it.
What's that? Oh, sorry,
I said you can read the flu, not catch it.
Yeah, quite.
Anthony,
right,
Flew,
I'm going to turn to Kiri Mac
racism.
quickly.
Yep.
Oh, beg your pardon, Steve. I'm going to turn to Kiri Mac very quickly to see whether or not we've got any comments or questions coming in from the chat. Kiri, have you got anything in yet?
Hey, we've got a couple comments, silly ones to begin with, of course. Regarding the length of tweets, Ash Scott said that the average word length in Shakespeare is 4.5 characters. Enough said. And Smitty replied, "Yeah, I would imagine a guy named after wagging his wiener would write crude stuff." So,
do you know what's funny? You can look this up. After they increased the amount of characters, the amount of overall length of tweets actually went down a couple points.
did it? Oh wow, reverse psychology there then.
So you have more room to talk and less to say.
Yeah.
That's funny.
I do have a question for Steve from Glober Chris. He wants to know, do you think Kent Hovind actually learned anything from your talks?
No, Kent is a duplicitous, dishonest con man who I am convinced doesn't believe half the shit that he puts out.
Oh, well, there you go.
Indeed. Yeah, he's not interested in learning anything. He has a narrative. He has a story. He's been peddling the snake oil stuff for decades. He's not interested in changing. And by the way, I do apologize for bringing him back into the limelight, because when he got out of prison, people had kind of forgot about him, and I brought him on to have discussions with King Crocoduck and a few other people. But you know what? He's still doing discussions. He's still doing debates, right? But you know what? I noticed something. Nobody gives a shit now. Everything he's ever said is the same thing. Every debate that he has is the same. So people, when he has a debate with somebody now, people don't care. They did when I had him on. People were like, "Oh my God, Ken Hovind after 10 years is doing debates," and he was just getting wrecked.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I remember him coming out of prison. He spent however long it was, 10 years or so. So
9 years, yeah.
When he came back out, people in the community were sort of going, "He's back, he's back." A bit like the redcoats are coming, the redcoats are coming. It was just a bit sort of like, "Oh my God," this whispered name from the darkness. And it's like, "Oh, hi there, I'm Dr. Kent. Hey, he's back." Logic did this fantastic series of videos on him.
Yeah, I love that.
And as you say, Casey had this series of 3 debates with him where he absolutely devastated the guy. I mean, I think one discussed specifically evolution. One was about cosmic microwave background radiation. Can't remember the third one off the top of my head, embarrassingly. But they were
a mixture of both, I think, if I remember correctly.
I mean, it was just those were sort of the key point debates from YouTube that started off a lot of what you see today. I mean, one way or another, it's why this show even exists, is because it sort of evolved out of that attempt to debunk things. Basically, people like Martimer and Cool Hard Logic from the old days, they've influenced all of us. But you're one of those names as well, see, and it's sort of miraculous you've come on the show. Now, I've got a couple of people on the list who want to.
Can I shout out
mate,
I'm a huge fan of Marty Meridian and Cool Hard Logic. And Marty's been on. I've had a couple episodes with him, and we went over fallacies. Oh yeah. And they were great. Oh yeah, because
he's-
a lot of people throw out fallacy all the time, and I gotta tell you, if you don't know the fallacy, don't accuse somebody of it, because I probably am the most misapplied fallacious person in the history of YouTube. When people say if Steve committed a fallacy, then you say, well, how is this the fallacy, and can you show me the format for this and how I committed it? And they get it completely wrong. And Martyr and I had a couple of videos where we telling people this is not the fallacy, this is the fallacy. And so yeah, I'm a huge fan of him.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, I agree. I mean, a lot of the people that I know treat him as one of their primary influences. Now, DeadKennedyInSpace is on the list. He wants to ask a question. Hello, buddy.
Well, it's not so much a question. I just wanted to comment on Ken Hovind because Steve said he doesn't want to learn anything, and I mean, he definitely doesn't. How can you learn anything if you're busy continuously asking people why they think a pine tree and an elephant are related?
You're one of those people that think you're related to a banana.
Oh, yeah.
One of these people, evolution is fake until I see a monkey give birth to a squirrel. Like, what the hell?
Dogs only beget dogs. Have you ever seen a dog have a non-dog?
Oh, yeah. Well, this relates to G-Man as well, because obviously he rather famously had a series of hangouts which you covered. He had R&R on one of them, for instance. He basically spouts a lot of Hovind, doesn't he?
Yes. But he wasn't like that before. G-Man kind of adopted Hovind stuff later on.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a newer phenomenon with G-Man, and I think I know G-Man pretty well. I hate to say it, and I think, and then again, this is speculation on my behalf, so this is not something that I can actually demonstrate with evidence. This is my pure anecdotal opinion. But I think what G-Man does is he'll take on and adopt anything that he thinks will piss off atheists.
Yeah, I know what you mean. He does rather seem to be an antagonist, doesn't he? It's a bit.
Yes.
Well,
I don't think
you heard it from
really
the man
believes one way or another. I think he about the Young Earth creations, but I think he just knows that Ken Hovind was a triggering mechanism for certain atheists, and he played upon that.
Oh, really? Blimey.
Yeah.
I mean, I must say his tactics and behaviour are extraordinary for anyone who claims to be operating under reason. It's the fact that he keeps coming back to the same points that he's been readily debunked on dozens of times in dozens of places. Dick Dawson, it looks to me like you had a question or a comment.
Yeah, I got a question for Steve, actually. Steve, I was wondering, is there anybody in the scene that you have not had the chance to have on one-on-one with, and why do you choose them?
Yeah, there's actually two. Okay, one of them is Jack and Glenn. Not just because, I find her extremely hot, but that's anecdotal too. But she went on, she's hot. I'm going to be straight up. She's really attractive. But she went on, what show was it there? What is it? The Report. Oh, gosh darn it. Can't remember the name of the show that she was on, but she went on there talking about agnosticism, and she just flubbed it all up and got it all wrong. And she just basically was throwing out idioms. And she's a person that has a following, and she's also known as an atheist YouTuber, right? And so a long time ago, I was like, I would like to have a conversation to address this particular topic with her, and she never got back to me. I asked Pimp Mom, "Hey, could you get me a hold of her, and to try to arrange this?" And it wasn't punching up, because people know I don't punch up. I don't give a shit whether you have 3 subs or 1 million subs. If I think you're right, I'll say, "Hey, you know what? You did well." If I think you're wrong, I'm gonna ask you, let's have, why do you think this way? Let's have a conversation about it, or let me explain why I think you made an error. But she majorly flubbed, and she didn't want to correct it, which I thought was a little disingenuous. I mean, because she doesn't ever seem to want to correct her mistakes. She did with the whole remember the whole plagiarizing thing, the Rubin Report. That's what it was, the Rubin Report.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. So if anybody ever gets a hold of Jacqueline Glenn, because I don't know if she even knows who I am, I seriously doubt it. She never responded to anything I have, so she probably has no idea in the world who I am. But if she is an honest person, and this is what I look for, people that are ethical, if she wants to correct the mistakes she made, which I can demonstrate she made numerous mistakes, then I would still love to have the conversation. The other one would be Shoe on Head.
Oh yeah.
June.
Oh, okay, cool one.
I just really like her for some reason. I like her videos. I think they're funny. They're entertaining. I know she's got a lot of crap over the years. I find her more entertaining than Greg. No offense to Greg. You're a cool dude. I'm a skeptic, but I just happen to like shoes on head style as far as her videos. But again, she's never acknowledged my existence either. So
She's really funny.
Oh dear.
She's really funny. I find her to be entertaining. No joke.
Right now, I've got a couple of questions. Well, there've been a couple of sort of issues roundabout in the community, and I thought we might touch on a couple of them as we go on. I won't go sort of into specifics at various points, but what I did want to know is a sort of a general question about the community as you see it at the moment, because I've been in part of it for a couple of years, really. I'm aware that as far as the sort of the flat Earth stuff has been going on, that's about 5 years, and this sort of the atheist community stuff on YouTube, more than 10. I feel like I've caught up with a lot of the history now, but I'd like to know from someone who's really been in amongst it for a good while now, how you've seen the community change, grow, for the better or for the worse.
Well, there's a lot of different communities within the community, right? There's communities and sub-communities, and so
wheels within wheels.
If I could turn back time a little bit and kind of regress you back to where 4 or 5 years ago,
sure.
Let me do that. This is going to actually probably trigger a few people, which is fine. Everything I've said can be backed up by numerous people. I'm going to tell people the truth till the day I die. And if other people want to have a different story, they're more than welcome to have it, but they're changing reality. And so the reality is, when I first got in the community, I was introduced to a bunch of people that I thought were like-minded skeptics and things of that. And by the way, I'm not a big fan of that term, but I'm going to use it as you guys use it. So because we are skeptics in the fact that we're not going to take everything at face value when it comes to certain claims, right? I get that. And anyways, I and some other people had started recognizing that these people, who I will never name by name ever again, were not very nice people. They were doing very, very vile things to very, even people that I didn't like, but they were doing things that I thought were past the board. Right. I mean, even if I don't like you, I don't think that certain people should have certain things happen to them, like call your work or try to get you fired or call your landlord, crap like that. I don't like any of that. Yeah. So, but there's a group of people that we just knew we didn't want to have much to do with any longer. And I had back then I had started a G+ group called the Great Debate Community. And the way that came about was there was a guy named Agent of Doubt who kind of coined the name for some time, where there's a group of small YouTubers that kind of just have that terminology floating around. They were just called the Great Debate Community kind of thing. And I was asking them, well, why don't we codify this? Why don't we formalize it? Why don't we actually make this into something? And everybody was on board. Yeah. And I basically trademarked it. I'm trademarking it. It's in progress. But
excellent.
It's not just like a poor man's trademark. I'm actually using for business utilization. That's actually pending. Or in the works, I should say. I've talked to legal stuff on that. But it's going to cost me a little bit, but I'm just weighing the pros and cons. He's just waiting for the final payment. But I think I'm going to do that. I think I'm actually going to trademark that officially. But anyways,
sounds like a good idea.
Yeah, I mean, why not? So, but anyways, long story short, the Great Debate Community was something that I built up to try to get people to come to the community and build up their own channels, and to have a collection of people with different type of backgrounds that can come together as experts and laypersons to have communications and dialogue with each other and fix other people's shit, right? People like the flat earthers and the young earth creationists and those people. So yeah, we had a great thing on G+ going, a couple thousand people, I think 1,850, I think at its peak. Not an exceptional amount, but they were good core group. And as my channel started taking off, theirs didn't. And I had my Patreon for my channel. I was accused of basically profiting off the G+, the Great Debate Community, which never happened because that's not monetizable. I try to explain to people, you promote your own channels, I promote my channel, and then that the people that want to watch will become patrons to your channel, right? That's just normal. Oh. But they weren't putting on any stuff of any consequence. All they want to do was talk shit about people. That's it. Their entire lives were just to talk shit, to try to destroy people's lives, to fabricate things. I've watched them do it. I've seen them in real time, literally try to create narratives to spin. And I didn't want anything to do with that. So I left that group, and they've been hounding me ever since, which is fine. What it's always ever done is basically made me more popular, because I've said forever that there are people out there that just want to fuck with you. That's all they do. They sit in Discord. That's all they do. I mean, it's. By the way, anybody who's been around for a while knows this to be the truth. Anybody who's been in my inner circle knows this is the God honest truth. And they keep accusing me of stealing the GDC, but for a year, nobody gave a shit. It wasn't until my channel started getting popular where they said, I want, and then they tried taking it over. They're like, one of them was like, why don't you turn the GDC over to me? I'm like, no, why would I do that?
Yeah.
Why would I do that? Absolutely. Yeah. But they're like, if it's too much work for you, too much stress. This is their words. There's too much work and too much stress. Why don't you give it to me for a few weeks? and just turn it over to me. Like, actually, turn the group over. I'm like, no, that's not gonna happen. But anyways, that's how it started. That's how I started getting a little bit popular, is because I had that great debate community as a vehicle, and other channels profited from that. By the way, they did really well.
Oh yeah, I mean, that's how I came across you first on YouTube. Actually, was through there rather than through anything else. Now look, I've got a couple of people I'm going to refer to from the panel. I want to get some questions from. But after we do that, there was a couple of comments you were making about people saying appalling things and acting in antagonistic ways, which reminded me very much of a bit of drama we've been having in the community recently. I thought you might be able to comment on between a certain essence of thought police and Rachel Oates. But first. Yeah, right. So in which case, I'm going to turn straight over to Kiri Mac. Kiri, you said you've got a couple of bits. Have you got anything you'd like to ring out now?
Sure. We've got a couple of questions and comments, and a new subscriber, Twisted Skeptic, who says, you guys are cool. So thank you. That's awesome. I want to give a little shout out to Demonic Davris, who's recovering from surgery, but he needs to get his fill of the shills. So hope you get better soon, buddy.
Oh, feel better, buddy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Question here from Casual Spaceman. Despite all the ongoing issues with the non-sex show, and Kyle, it seems to me that you are doing a lot better on YouTube than you have during the non-sex show. Would you agree? So...
yeah, only for the fact that when all that went down, I hate this number, 95%, but it's a fair estimate. 95% of the community came over with me. At least the actors.
Oh man,
yeah,
it was a mass exodus. It was awesome. It was, sorry to use it, but it was an exodus of biblical proportions.
Yeah, because
it was rather impressive.
And by the way, I do want to thank those people that have supported me on that and have looked at the evidence. And as people know, all the documents are public. Not all the documents. Most all the documents are public now, and there's much more that could be in discovery. But I have thousands of messages and emails that I can't show publicly, but I have shown privately to certain people, and they can verify and testify that everything I've said has been 100% truthful. Everything's validatable. Everything is evidential. My case is open and shut, but I can't show any of that stuff till obviously until after the litigation is pending. And plus,
absolutely.
I'm only going to show private messages once they've been made public through the courts, obviously, or something along those lines, because I don't show private messages unlike other people. Even if it exonerates me or vindicates me, I just have that standard for ages. And you've never seen me say, hey, look, here's a private DM, which I had happened to me just the other day. Somebody in the skeptic community showed one of my private DMs, and I was pretty livid. I got to tell you, I was pretty and I'm livid as a disappointment. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, why would somebody?
Yeah, I do know what you mean. It's sort of an unwritten rule, really. There have to be very specific circumstances under which you can show a DM. It has to be.
Yeah, and I'm not judging people that do.
Or something.
Let me clarify. I'm not judging people that do for like you said, if there's extenuating circumstances, like there's something of an egregious nature, that people have to evaluate their own thing on that. I just don't like doing it, and so I don't do it, and I haven't released anything Kyle has said. But I got to tell you, if I did, even that 5% that was against me would even have to go for fuck. There's no question about any of this, because I mean it's unequivocal.
I think it's pretty clear which side most of the people on the panel are on this side. I mean, as far as I'm aware, we all agree with you entirely.
And I appreciate that.
And while we're here, I've got a good opportunity to shell that out. Actually, so if you are not on Steve's Twitter feed, you really ought to be, because today he posted a number of documents relating to the NSS issue, which are fascinating reading. Me and some of the shills have been in the green room earlier on reading through all of those. That's some damning stuff indeed, isn't it? I mean, to have that turn up on your doorstep, I think Kyle must be shitting bricks at the moment. But I appreciate there's only so much you can say about that.
I have no idea, but I can tell you that everything in there, we've definitely gone over. Glenn Williamson is my financer for my court case, and he's also one of my besties. He's flown down from Australia to come visit me here in the States, and we hang out. I mean, I can safely say that he's one of the very few guys that I actually love. You know what I'm saying?
I read that document after you posted it, or at least parts of it, and I didn't even get through a few pages. So I'm like, well, that's a fucking dick slammed on Kyle's desk.
But I was gonna say we actually went that was like our second some odd revision. We went through that with a fine-tooth comb, and we corrected all the things that were like the lawyer maybe didn't understand or got wrong. So we made sure that document was pretty goddamn right on. Now I know there's people that are out there doing some analysis of it. They've got a whole bunch of shit wrong, because you cannot do the analysis of a document if you don't have the corresponding discovery to go with it.
That's
right. To put it in context. Yeah. And I noticed that because the lawyer has everything in context. Everything that this that I've sent him for discovery so far, if it goes that far, it just everything fits together perfectly. I've been extremely consistent. People have said, well, there's inconsistencies, and Steve, doesn't have a story straight. Bullshit. I guarantee if you read the emails, it would all make sense, but they don't have that discovery portion of it. So it's very difficult for them to really know what's going on. Now, the people, like I said, the people that I trust, my inner circle, a lot of them have, and they can testify, yes, this is exactly what Steve has said. And so I do trust certain people, which usually gets me fucked, but whatever. Well, I'm talking about you, Cheshire. I'm talking about you.
I'm going to quickly turn to some of the panel members who haven't had a chance to speak yet. I'm going to start with Steaming Cup of Reason. Hello, buddy. How are you doing tonight?
Oh, I'm doing okay. It's early morning for me. I'm just kind of following along.
Well, I know it's sort of 5:36 a.m. for you, Blair. I do apologise for pulling you out of your room. I just wondered if you had any questions.
I am really happy to be here. The only thing I really wanted to ask was, I've noticed that Steve, your streams have really lately been leaning towards the atheist topic. Have you abandoned flat Earth completely?
There's nothing left of them.
Yeah, I mean, look, I will do. Okay, here's the thing. I've kind of worked out a thing with Fight the Flat Earth, where like once a week or once every other week, bi-weekly, I will go on his channel and we'll run a flat Earth type thing, and then I'll probably do an after show on my channel. But like I've told people, I just think it's beat to fucking death. These people are like on their death throes. There's just nothing to it. I was on with Brandy Beaver the other, on Fight Flat Earth with hungry happy hippie hobo whatever freaking dude.
Yeah.
And it was fun. Don't get me wrong, I did enjoy it, but a little bit goes a long way.
Yeah, I wanted to kind of pass that same question over to Brainy.
In what sense? About the same thing about the flat Earth?
Yeah. Are you like just really moving away from it or giving up on it, or are you still?
I haven't done anything of the sort. I mean, really, it was only flat Earth was only 2 videos ago for me, really. I did crystals last. I'm working on fake snow is fake, but I'm trying to branch out a little bit, because the problem is if you put all your eggs in one basket and that basket dies, I've got nothing to hold my eggs anymore.
Exactly.
All the Flat Earth skeptics kind of guys, once these people stop, the flat earthers just kind of give up, which I think eventually might happen.
Yeah.
What are they going to do, right? Where are they going to go from there? But if you guys really wanted to see the I would say the ultimate video on flat Earth, I have a video on my channel. I'm going to show myself for a second, which I don't normally do, but just the shills. There's a video called Nathan Oakley Summit Meeting or something like that. It has like 80,000 views. It's kind of the quintessential just shut them down. They're DOA, dead in the water kind of thing. But if you want to go really, at that point to me, flat Earth was dead. I mean, but I still did stuff with it. But I knew at that point this was just not a thing I really wanted to spend too much time invested in it on my channel.
It's a question I do want to ask actually quickly. It's just how long did it take you from the first sort of couple of debates for you to realise this is all ridiculous short-lived
very
nonsense?
quickly?
Because I mean, it is quick, right? You sort of realise almost after 2 or 3 of them, these are just the same 200 arguments. Eric Dubé's 200, which are in fact about 15, which are all both of them. Nothing's changed. Nothing's convincing.
Oh, I totally believe that, and I also have said numerous times that I think that the vast majority of them opposed, just doing it to fuck with people.
Absolutely.
Not all of them. Some of them are really that stupid. Don't get me wrong. I mean, look at like Anthony Riley. He's just an idiot.
He's pathetic.
He is a stupid man.
It can happen. It could be somebody literally can be that dumb and know how to still figure out how to get on the internet. But
that's what I say.
I know Logical Troglodyte's actually got something I think he wanted to jump in here, and then I've got DeadKennedyInSpace just after that. So, Logical, hello, buddy.
Hey, this kind of goes to something that Mr. Maldonado in the live chat was asking earlier, talking about if we just ignore the flat earthers, are they just going to go away and just tell them to fuck off? And that corpse has been picked by the vultures pretty clean. But I think if we leave them alone completely, that weed will regroup and come back. So although I'm looking at other conspiracies to debunk on my channel, I will keep a weather eye on them, because when they start growing back, I want to be that gardener, start plucking that crap out by the roots. Because conspiracies have been with us since the dawn of time. They will continue to be with us. But like the old saying goes, the only thing that evil needs to propagate itself or to win is for good people to do nothing, which is why we got young Earth creationism being taught in science classes in Texas right now, and they're trying to push the flat Earth bullshit in that same state, and I can't stand by and watch that kind of crap happen. So I see us as the gardeners. They're the weeds, and we got to pluck them out as they start to grow and flower.
I agree with you on that. I totally agree with you on that. Yeah, because look at I have the same thing, logical troglodyte. There's certain things that I think have been beaten to death. However, they have to be revisited every so often so it doesn't take root again.
Well, yeah. I mean, the thing is, I'm not sure you can ever completely stop it from taking root, though, can you? It's one of those ideas. There'll always be a book. There'll always be a nutter. We'll never completely stop one or two madmen from making a living out of it. DeadKennedyInSpace, what did you have to add?
Yeah, I was going to kind of respond to what Jeff said. We're not giving up on Flat Earth. Flat Earth is giving up on us. It's refused to budge for 5 years. It's the same points over and over and over again. It never changes. It never adapts. So eventually you just get tired of making videos about it. But I wouldn't say it's dying, because I don't think it can die, because realistically, Flat Earth is as old as human civilization, right? We started out thinking the Earth was flat as soon as we started thinking about what the planet was, until we figured it out. But it's had these these waves, these little kind of bumps in its existence where it gets a little more lively, like Robotham's time and like now. And it'll die down, but it will definitely come back. And maybe when it comes back, it'll come back with some new quote-unquote evidence. So it'll actually be fun to make videos about it again.
Good luck with that. I mean, let's hope so, right? Steaming Cup of Reason, you wanted to jump in.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention, I don't think Flat Earth is dead. That wasn't my point. I just noticed that a lot of the big creators are starting to shift in the type of videos that they're making. But the reason why I mentioned it is because on the weekends, I tutor a couple of small children at the grade 3 level. And one of my young boys piped up that he told me the moon landings are fake because he saw a video that said so.
Oh, God.
That shook my tree, let me tell you. A 9-year-old boy telling me that there's something that needs to be done here. We can't really let Flat Earth go.
Can I ask, are you, I don't fully know the rules for like when you're a teacher, because I know there's things you can talk about with the kids and there's things you can't. Are you allowed to have that discussion with him and say, look, I really think you're wrong on this, and I want to show you why?
Yeah, we can have that discussion, but it's generally preferred to keep it out of the classroom.
Fair enough.
Yeah,
okay,
that makes sense. Sarcastic Barman, I've got you next up. What did you have, mate?
Cool. Very similar to what Dead Kennedy said, really. But as long as people like Riley, Spurkismo, and people like that are making money off this, they'll keep producing the same crap, having the same argument, not changing anything. Yeah. And you get the gullible people. I don't want to call them stupid, because some of them probably aren't stupid. They're just... when me and AB went to Cardiff, we spoke to Nathan, and one thing he was saying was a lot of the people that follow the Flat Earth, it's not because they don't understand science or anything like that. It's the easy way for them. They can just go, well, that's easier to understand than how the planet moves, how the universe is expanding, how the galaxies are rotating and things like that. And they're just taking the easy way out. I think it will drop down a hell of a lot. But again, there'll be the new personality will come up, catch people's attention, and it'll come back into the limelight again, and it's just a pain in the ass.
I sort of see it as largely nefarious. I think that Robotham was a crook, and the people who do it now, like Dubé, are crooks. They're trying to get money out of it. My concern is basically what it is that it's sort of like it's like a gate. It's a gateway for idiots. What you do is you set up your stupid story, right? And the idiots who buy it are the ones you can fleece, and it keeps all the smart people away. And that's how you sort of cull your audience. And how all of this stuff seems to work is by there are certain triggers for people, what they're attracted to as fantasy ideas, like healing, or enlightenment or certain other things, and by selling them that dream in a ridiculous enough way, it's only the idiots are going to be convinced by a story like that. So they're the ones you can fleece for their cash. I mean, I know it's drawing it out a bit, but that's always been my
No,
view.
I think it's money oriented. It is definitely because of money oriented. Look at journalism. You think if he didn't have his Patreon at 2,000, whatever it is a month now, do you think he would be doing this shit? No, not at all. I don't.
He makes a lot more than that, even, doesn't he?
Well, I think he got hit pretty hard, but I don't know if he's rebuilt it. But like, look at like Mr. Chedwick. He's going off YouTube. He's had enough.
Yeah.
So I mean, I think people.
Thank
I think
God
YouTubers,
he is.
Yeah, but isn't he touring? Isn't he doing the Flat Earth European tour or something? Is that really?
Oh,
maybe I
don't know if you know or not, but a couple of the shills here met up with Mark Sargent. It was AB Science and you, Barman. Tell the story, buddy. Tell the story.
We went to Cardiff. We did, yeah. We went to Cardiff for a few drinks, and we knew they were going to be there, and we thought, oh, we might go and talk to them. And as we're walking up the street to go for some food before we go and find them, I'm thinking, no, that can't be. And we look back and go, it is fucking Mark Sargent. I was like, oh, Jesus Christ. And we spent a good 20 minutes talking to him. And it's scary because he's very, very easy to talk to.
Yeah.
He strikes me as somebody who just loves the attention.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
I think he would. You don't understand the fact that you knew who he was. He went and beat off around the corner afterwards. It was like, I am Mark Sargent.
Yeah, he's a sperm sponge for attention. That guy, holy
he
man.
certainly is. Jutmonkthedrunk Monkey. Oi, sir. How you doing?
All right. Yeah. Fucking hell, man. I was falling asleep.
Bless, mate. I saw you come in and come out of the buzz a bit. I didn't know if you'd like stop wanting to ask a question or I wasn't sure. Right. I thought I'd call on you.
No, do you know what? It's difficult on the phone because I buzz in, then I click back to chat, and it unbuzzes me, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's it. Sorry, mate.
Anyway, I mean, we were talking about globe denial. Globe denial's going nowhere, trust me, right? There is always going to be these fucking globe denying cretins. It's just we're sick and tired of their fucking bollocks. Now, let me tell you this. We will get, people that might just get into YouTube and they'll start watching our videos and be like, oh, I can have a crack at that. So there will always be new debunkers. And it'll just be a fucking cycle of new, the likes of Nathan Oakley will fucking do it until he's fucking murdered because someone will kill the fucking wank spanner. But other than that, yeah, we personally, and I am getting absolutely fucking bored of banging my head against a fucking brick wall trying to get through to these gormless, globe-denying, backward-thinking, bottom-feeding scumbags of the intellectual ladder.
Steve, you said, I think, before that I was going to ask you, I can't remember if it was on Fight Stream or where you'd said that the community, like channels growing as fast as they're growing right now, hasn't really been seen like it's being seen right now just because of the amount of cooperation that's occurring between channels. Is that something?
I think that, okay. The Non Sequitur Show was basically an extension of the Great Debate Community. People don't remember that, but actually it was originally Non Sequitur Show brought to you by the Great Debate Community. A lot of people do not remember that, but that was how it was actually.
I read the legal document. If you read that document, people, you'll get that.
Yeah, and so it did come from a lot of my ideas, but the thing was to have other channels grow, right? And look what happened with Digital Hammurabi. Look what happened with Unsettled Science. A lot of channels that you got the Amateur Conversationalist. He has a channel coming out of it. Jim Majors has a channel coming out of it. A lot of people started some channels, and that's what we were trying to promote, right? And people were like, Steve's just doing this for greed, and it's like, no, I'm actually promoting other people's channels. I haven't even promoted much of my own shit lately because of obviously stuff going on, but I really want other channels to succeed because my philosophy has always been and always will be, if they get bigger, I'm going to have a chance to get bigger. Right?
Well, that's how I see it too. We're all growing together. It's like a big circle jerk. We're all leaning over each other's subs, just going.
A rising tide lifts all ships, right? A rising tide lifts all ships, and that's what we're all engaged in here. The whole reason is it really? Oh well, there you go.
I believe that.
When you can't tell me that the algorithm would. wouldn't put us in a group together either. Like it's going to pigeonhole us all as because I'm sure it works to that level
It does.
where
It
sees
does.
a group of people working in a pattern, and it probably pigeonholes us all as a yeah.
I have literally said a rising tide lifts all boats because people are like, well, then you're just kind of using other people. People have levied that charge. It's like, well, no, they're doing their own thing. I helped them get started. For example, like Rachel Oates, who I love to death. She had like 200. By the way, we got to get back to that subject eventually.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, just a good segue. But Rachel Oates, when she was on my channel, she was not known. She barely had any subs. And I told her she's going to be a superstar, right?
Yeah.
But she's got 80,000 subs. I have a fraction of that, so I haven't ridden her coattails. I think she's done an incredible job because of her own ability.
She's fantastic.
Yeah, indeed, she is. Well, look, before we go on to that subject, we've got a couple of people left on the list I want to get to.
Sure.
Kiri Mac's got a couple of comments. Then we've got Logical Troglodyte, and Dick Dawson's going to jump in. So once we've done those three, I won't take any more questions, and we'll go back to the meat on the bone. So, Kiri Mac, what do we got?
We have got tons of comments. I love it. I'll fire a couple of them out as quick as I can. Regarding
Absolutely.
is the flat Earth movement dying? We've got a comment from Coral Hayward who says flat Earth might seem like it's dying, but it's not because their children are all up and coming with the same crap.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Fair point. Fair point. Yeah.
And it's
Damn good point.
right. It's such a shame. And related to that, Harry Warp says YouTube for kids had a problem with conspiracy videos, particularly moon landing denial. These things are so readily available for kids that they really need.
You just got to talk. You just got to talk to your own kids. Like my daughter, she told me later in life that she had a fourth grade teacher that was talking about flat Earth, but she's seen some of these videos and stuff like that, and she straight up calls them idiots. I mean, she thinks they're all stupid. She's not a dumb kid. I mean, she's started.
And they catch on quick too.
Yeah. And so
my 5-year-old started asking me questions about the moon because he's been watching me watch videos, and even though I try not to watch them around him, like I put a Bluetooth in my ear now when I'm watching these debates and stuff, because some of the topics. Like, I don't even want my son getting in his head that the earth is freaking flat. Like, it shouldn't even, because it's just wrong. So just don't even work on that.
Absolutely.
You're just a shill, though, man. You're just taking NASA's money to say that.
I mean, it helps.
Right, we are.
It helps, of course, if the parents aren't absolute fucktards, but what can you do, right? You got to hope that they've all got teachers like Steaming Cup of Reason, people that actually care about teaching them.
Like actual education.
Well, I mean, even myself, I'm an educator now this year, right?
Right, exactly.
Yeah. Now homeschooling, very impressive. I mean, you've always been a bit of a super dad within the group, but I have to say you've taken the next step, really. It's very impressive. Now, Kiri, you said you had a couple more comments there.
Sure. Well, Gary Graham said, do you think the flat Earth is tilted and they all fell off? Wouldn't that be fucking lovely?
That'd be brilliant.
9 o'clock Hero reckons that flat Earth is a broken record, but Nibiru is making a comeback. So I'm sure you've all heard about that.
That is such a scary one.
And Jen Morgan reminds us not to forget about the mud flooders, of course. They're all still here as well. So there's always going to be some sort of crap going around on the
I find the mud flood one ridiculous. It's like one
guy was alone here.
The mud flooders have
Sorry,
nothing.
Beaver, go ahead. All
I was gonna say is I was having a back and forth with the guy, and he said, unless you, I can't remember what we went back and forth for a while, but then the last thing he said to me it was on one of his videos, and he said, "Don't try to tell me those are windows in the basement, or don't try to tell me that basements have windows." And I looked over to my left. I'm like, 1, 2, 3. I'm like, fucking, there's all kinds. I'm like, that's not even all of them. There's more rooms with windows.
The mud flooders are fantastic. Now, Logical Troglodyte, you've got something you wanted to jump in with.
Yeah, when Steve was talking about promoting other channels, it got me thinking about comparing and contrasting the conspiracy community and our community. And they are just all about me, and they're all in competition with each other instead of working together. And there's no diversity in style. If you've seen one conspiracy channel, you've pretty much seen 90% of them. Whereas we will work together, and we produce different genres within doing the same thing. You got guys like Brainy and me and Jutmonk and Radical that are doing the comedy. You got Steve that's doing the debates and the open discussions. You got guys like AB Science and Dr. Bob that are doing the hard science. We all have something different to offer. And I don't know about you guys, but if I help promote somebody's channel and they outstrip me, I don't care. I just want that message out there, however you're able to absorb it.
Yeah, because we're
all the
more
power to them.
Yeah, because
Right?
our goal is to actually educate people. I mean, we really want them to learn things, and that's not what the flat earthers are about. They're all about themselves. And you're right. There's like even in the community, there's only so much to go around. I get that, but if somebody's really successful and they're doing well and they've earned their subs and they're getting Patreon money and they're getting super chats and all that stuff, I'm like, awesome. I love going on Fight the Flat Earth and stuff like that when people are donating stuff like that. I'm all for it. Or any place I'm going on to help promote them, that's what we do. You help cross promote, because you can't expect people to help promote your shit if you're not willing to help promote their shit. The Flat Earthers are exactly like that. They're all about themselves, and it's all about greed. And I can't stand that.
Sharks in a pool slapping.
And
Terrible. Now,
it's
Dick Dawson, you wanted
Randy's
to jump in.
the only one that
Deceitful
started
greed.
spreading from that a bit. Randy has
Oh,
something.
Beef, hang about, mate. Beef, hang about, mate. What I'll do is I'll let Dick Dawson go, and then I'll jump into you afterwards. All right?
Yeah, it's not even just greed on their side. It's deceitful greed, because they try to play like they're all about pushing the knowledge and the truth and waking people up and stuff. And half of them are so pulled out their own damn asses, it's not funny. I mean, like Steve just said there a minute ago, that somebody tried calling him on, oh, you're just using people for subs then. Pull head from sphincter and get a fucking clue, because that has nothing to do with it. If community grows strong, everyone within it is stronger. Anyone with a brain can see that. It's absolute nonsense. And it just shows what a Poe-type position so many of these people take on purpose, and they fucking know it.
Can I say something before
Amen.
I got a rejoinder for that I wanted to say is that, look, when people say you're only doing this for subs, that to me is one of the most dishonest things people can ever say. If somebody says you're doing this for subs, that's fine, because we all do things to get noticed. We all do things because we have a message we really want to get out. That's the whole point of being on YouTube. If you didn't want to have people watch your videos, you wouldn't make videos. So it's implied, of course, by making a video that you want people to watch it. So if somebody says, you made a video for views, okay, that's a true proposition. But if somebody says you made a video just to get views, that insinuates that you're doing stuff merely for viewership rather than the actual topic that you want to get out, and that's dishonest. And that's what I find infuriating.
Way. Indeed. Now, Brady Beaver, sorry, mate, I stepped on you earlier. What is it you wanted to add?
I don't even remember. It's not even that big of a deal, obviously. I can't remember. What I will tell you while I got the floor though for 10 seconds is I was shown a flat earther. I can't remember which one it was. He did that whole you get the email that says someone has reported your channel for spamming content. Please fill out this. Yeah, please fill out this survey. The one where it just has your username, URL, and your password. No, you have no idea. His community thing says 28,000 subscribers. I can't remember his name right now because they changed it. But it says his comment 1 week ago. Oi, important message from Martin. That's it, Martin. You guys know Martin.
Of course, from Calgary, right?
Said oi, so I must.
Well, he's I've seen him on lots of streams. So anyways, but I'll point you guys at some stuff after this that shows him talking about it. But it says someone put a complaint into YouTube accusing me of spamming my own channel. As a result, YouTube want me to fill out a questionnaire on the matter, and they're not basically, and if I don't, my channel will be closed. Peace and love, people. Hope for the best. Well, now when you go to his videos, he has a new video, a Chinese video being posted every 30 seconds.
That was a scam that went around. That was a scam that went around like last week or 2 weeks ago or whatever. And there was a big warning about it everywhere. Like, how stupid could a person be? YouTube doesn't have to ask you for your URL because they're the one that gave it to you.
Right? Here's the URL. Put into the chat, everybody. Go see a new video posted every 30 fucking seconds. Hit refresh.
What a moron.
And you will have. You can watch a video for 2 minutes and be like, wow, Japanese game shows are fun. And then you can come out, hit refresh, and watch new videos.
What's the
point
of doing
that? I think it's just spam. I think the idea is that either pay us or this will continue, and YouTube is going
like
to
a ransom. Oh, I got you.
Yeah, 20,000 subscribers. He's lost 8,000 subs already in a week.
Wow.
Oh my God. He's probably on vacation and doesn't even know,
Oh
right?
no, he's been on Ranty Flat Earth thing talking about it. He thinks that he was targeted and everything, but meanwhile, we've all commented on his video being like, you realize that, like on Ranty's video saying, you realize he wasn't targeted, and this was an email that went out to everybody, and he was just the fish that grabbed the hook.
Yeah, they're fishing.
Nice.
Yeah.
Never mind. And now look, Dead
Hey,
Kennedy in
Ranty,
space.
oh, yeah,
you have
but
one
hold
to
on.
add.
All I was going to add to that is
Oh,
Randy
sorry,
showed him that he got this. No, that's my fault. Randy showed him got the same email, and it's so funny because Radrical sent me the time link. He's like, "How did you know?" And the guy's like, "How did you? What tipped you off that it wasn't real?" And Randy's like, "Well, I mean, fuck, it comes from like a mail.ru. Well, that's Russia." It was like,
Yeah,
exactly.
That literally is a
Fuck,
Russian
even
mail
Ram's
server.
got
That's
one.
yeah, they're all.
He
fishing.
used some common sense. They're usually lacking that. I said to Radrical, I'm like, turns out Randy's smarter.
How can somebody how can somebody with the
Doing it.
intelligence to post a video on YouTube be stupid enough to fall for that crap?
Oh, no, that's impressive.
Well,
Go ahead,
because
Harry,
he's
my
a flurf.
Yeah, cool. Dead Kennedy in space. You had something you wanted to add, mate?
It's kind of off topic at this point. It was back when we were talking about the whole shilling thing and how like flat earthers use that as an insult, right? That you're all shills, you all just do this for attention, for views, etc. Of course we do. Steve pretty much said it best. That's why we're here. Of course, because we want people to see the content. So we're going to do things that will result in more people seeing the content. I don't see how that's a bad thing. It's literally the exact same thing as being good at your job because you want a promotion.
Yep, and it's funny. I've
Absolutely.
actually people have actually criticized me because I had a Patreon, a $50 Patreon that I basically told them to fuck off, and people were like, "Oh, how could you talk to your Patreons like that?" And a lot of people on the other side, the fucktards, were basically criticizing. What they didn't know the backstory was that this person was actually harassing two friends of mine, one of which was Odyssey Mandy and Ramses II, and another one was from my Facebook, a really good friend of mine, Ronnie, and he was putting out videos on his own channel that I didn't agree with. They were just wrong, and I'm like, I'm not going to promote your channel. I'm not going to be bought. You can take your money and shove it. And because he was just hounding me and hounding me, and I blocked it. He was leaving comments on my webpage and just other things, and I was like, I'm done with you. Stop stalking me. I don't want to have anything to do with it. Other people can deal with you, but he thought he could buy his way to having a conversation with me because he's like, well, I want you to look at my video and I want you to see what's this and that. I'm like, I'm not interested in watching your videos. And so I laid down the ground rules as I'm not going to be bought. I'm not going to put money ahead of my own values. I'm not going to put money ahead of what I'm putting out to be correct information. And of course, a lot of people that were disingenuous said, oh, well, look at Steve. He's telling Patreons to fuck off, not giving a shit about the backstory, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It's just something that we call context or nuance.
Oh, yeah.
sometimes,
It's
which we can
amazing.
bring-
How quick it changes things, right?
Cheshire just put in the chat there, hashtag context matters. And that's exactly it. It's just like these fucking Twitter warriors. They read one note and they go, oh my God, you're just an absolute piece of trash. Are you kidding me? I was actually defending your side of the argument, you moron. They sometimes just miss it so bad it's not funny.
They don't care about context. When you have a narrative, context is irrelevant.
Yeah, that
are you kidding
winds
me?
me. That winds me to fuck up when people just instantly just go down that path, and you know what I mean. You're thinking, hang on a minute, you're totally, this is totally wrong.
Absolutely. You're pulling facts out of your ass.
And yet these are supposed to be skeptics, right? These are supposed to be the people that are critical thinkers. And let me tell you, I hate to break it to people, and I know this is going to probably get flack on me, but just because you don't believe there's a God doesn't make you a critical thinker automatically. I don't believe there's God.
Yeah.
Doesn't make me a critical thinker. I've seen more atheists recently, and it's getting better. I will say this. It's getting better, and I will give myself a little bit credit for it only because I've talked to a lot of atheists, and many of them have realized the same things I've come to realize, either on their own accord or in a combination. But there are a lot of atheists out there that just are piss poor critical thinkers. But of course, theists, same thing too. There's a lot of creationists, flat earthers. So I mean, it's across the board. But just because you do not believe something doesn't inherently make you more rational or more intelligent or understand the topic or a critical thinker beyond anybody else. And I really think that when you guys asked about the divisions in the community and things of that, and the direction of the community and things like it started in this particular hangout, that I think is something that really needs to be pointed out. The atheist community needs to be policing their own, because I do not see that happening very often. And when you do, you get exercised for it. You get shunned. And I've seen this happen with good people that are atheists that I do support. They've stood up. They've said, no, this is not how we should do this. This is wrong, blah, blah, blah. And they have gotten shit for it.
And I think it's ironic that disturbing. Well, I've noticed that one of the things the atheist community is famous for is sort of helping people who've been ostracized by their religions, former Mormons and people like that. And yet at the same time, the very same community seems to have an alarming knack for doing the same thing to people it disagrees with, which is shutting them out and isolating them completely.
Do you not see that with
them,
me,
if you will?
The atheist community is shunning.
Absolutely. This is why I asked it earlier on. I might get your perspective on it.
Yeah, but not all the atheist community. There are atheists that channels that I really like Atheist Edge, great channel, fully deconverted, great channel. Yeah. So I do support the ones that are honest in their approach. But
indeed,
the higher atheists, the bigger names who obviously I have rapport with for a very long time, like with R and stuff like that.
Sure.
They're not going to have a conversation with me because it does them no good. There's nothing they have to gain by it. So what they got to do instead is try to misrepresent me, have to straw man me. And here's the thing, though. Atheists that are critical thinkers have started to notice this over the last, especially 6 months to a year. They have actually started coming to me going, you know what? I didn't recognize it before, but what you've been saying about the ACA and American Atheists and Atheist Republic, you're dead on right.
Yeah, well, I fall into that camp myself. I've sort of taken up that position in the last 18 months or so.
It's sad. It sucks, right?
Kiri Mac.
Yeah.
I'd completely agree with you. When you have people like, Aaron Ra and Matt Delahanty's and so on, who you would have thought you could have these fantastic discourses with. And in fact, what seems to happen is that you've been closed off from the little gang because you don't follow what.
I'm not an easy target.
Motion,
yeah.
I mean, the ACA has a political movement,
Yes, but that's what happened. To go back to the whole, rationality rules and essence of thought. Same thing. That caused a major schism in the ACA for that very reason. People did not allow for other opinions.
Yeah, well, perhaps actually, look, I'm going to turn to Kiri Mac quickly because she's got a couple of questions, and then I thought I'd go to Dick Dawson next, unless you really want to jump in now, buddy.
Well, I just want to say before we go to Kiri, speaking of policing the community and whatnot, I think that is the absolute transition to EOT, and so we should go to Kiri and let's get back to EOT.
I'm cool.
Yeah, I agree.
Sounds great.
Yeah.
Really, just Fantarang was just about, or I was just about to ask on his behalf about Aaron Ra and Matt Dillahunty. He was kind of saying, I've always wondered what the deal with that is, but I'm not sure if this is the right place to ask. So I guess you've pretty much, you just wanted your opinion on
I
those.
mean, in a nutshell, Matt, okay, I've only talked to Matt one time. One time, physically talked to him. All right.
Really?
And this was before we had him come on for the Non Sequitur show. I had a little off air with him where we were talking about the terminology of agnostic atheist. And I asked him, very point blank, do you still agree that agnostic atheist in the Wake case is nonsensical? And he's like, yes. And so I just want to confirm that because I've told people that Matt Dillahunty has changed his position over the last few years on certain things because he used to identify as agnostic atheist, but after he has some talks with some people, and I do believe that I had some influence there, that agnostic atheist in the weak case, meaning in the lack of belief position, is nonsensical from an epistemological point of view. He actually agrees with this, and he actually has said this to Anthony Magnabosco in one of the videos. And so I wanted to make sure that I got the position correct. But that's the only time I've actually talked to the man. I was on Twitter, and he came in guns a-blazing, saying that I was wrong. And we were talking about multi-valued logics. And I was telling people that I believe that Sarcastic logic should be what we more need to use when we talk about beliefs, because just simple predicate logic or propositional logic doesn't really convey epistemic states properly. And so I said, even in multi-value logic, you can have true, false, or unknown, which I think is a little bit more nuanced, a little more granular in these discussions. And he just came in guns and blazing going, you're wrong. And I'm like, well, what am I wrong about, Matt? And he started doing the tropes, this, that, you either believe God exists or you don't believe God exists, which, is true, but irrelevant. It was a case was called a fallacy of irrelevant thesis. It's something that is true, but irrelevant to what we're talking about in multi-valued logic. But I was like trying to suss it out with him. What do you think I'm wrong about, Matt? And he blocked me. That was it. In one discussion, because I was like, this is not what we're talking about, Matt. And I think he felt offended that I was like, dude, you don't even know what the fuck we're talking about. And you're saying in Twitter here that I'm wrong. And I just want to know what do you think I'm wrong about? Because every time he's gone on now and talked about me on other shows, like he's been on Atheist Edge, he's mentioned me on the Ace Experience, he has straight up got my position wrong. Every single time.
Yeah, absolutely. The one thing that actually sort of moved me over to that position, which is that I started off in the community by watching, basically watching the atheist experience and then getting into other religious apologetic stuff. And that worked me basically along to the stuff you were doing. And then eventually I got into flat earth through that sort of direction.
Do you watch Tom
And
Havens?
I do, certainly. Absolutely.
Good.
Jamie's
I like
brilliant,
them.
isn't he? I love him.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, they're
I like
great
Jamie,
guys.
and Eric's a really good friend. I
Yeah,
like Eric.
absolutely. They're just great guys. I mean, I'd love the opportunity to talk to them at some point. I'll have to get around.
So I'm not against atheists in general or atheist community.
Sure.
I support them wholeheartedly. I love Eric. He's a great guy.
Indeed, but the ACA specifically have had their hand in a lot of things, and unfortunately, being a political organisation, they sort of have to push a particular narrative. And of course, once a narrative comes in, skepticism's sort of gone out of the window, which has been my problem with them. Now, I just want to double check, but we want to get onto the subject of EOT, and we've got awfully close on a few occasions, and then seem to have veered away at the last minute. So I'm just going to force our hand and say, would you care to comment on the current situation between essence of thought belief or absence of thought or whatever particular name that has been given this week, and Rachel Oates?
I do. I will just say straight up, essence of thought is a blight on humanity. He is somebody who will lie, he will manipulate, he will run narrative, he's nonsensical. And you know what's funny is I watched a video that he had that's unlisted now, but it goes back about 3 years where he started to run a really ridiculous argument about cancel culture. And how that we shouldn't even talk about trans stuff because it has all been pre-decided. And even if you bring up questions, you are transphobic. Even if you ask questions, you're transphobic. Now, this video got bombed. It had so many dislikes. He lost subs over this shit. I'm surprised he didn't delete it but it's unlisted. But I actually watched it for the first time because No Plum had pointed it out, and I go, oh my God, I got to watch this. And it was horrific. But it set the stage of his transition from what I understood, he was relatively normal prior to that. And after that, he just went to shit. And now he will label anybody transphobic who doesn't agree with him. He'll label people Nazis. He said my audience was Nazi lovers and I'm transphobic and I'm bigoted and all this other stuff. And he did this to Rachel Oates. Now, me, I'm a big boy. I have a thick skin. Doesn't bother me. I'm like, you're an idiot. Nobody's going to, nobody in the right mind would think that I'm any of those things. But if you want to try to throw that balloon up there, more power to you. It doesn't do me any harm. People that want to buy into that are not people I want to have around my channel anyways, right? But he tried to do that to Rachel. And now I think we all agree that Rachel's probably one of the nicest, sweetest people in the fucking world.
Absolutely. Right? It would not melt in her mouth. Indeed.
Yeah. I mean, I just think she's adorable. She's sweet. She's nice. She's generous. She's kind, intelligent, articulate. And I knew she was going to be superstar. And he went after the wrong target because she, unfortunately, is not as thick-skinned. And she, as we know now, has some, emotional issues. And that's not degrading. That is something that I'm happy to say she's gotten treatment for, and she's working on, and I wish her the very, very best. But he fucked up because people will come to fight for her. They don't need to come to fight for me because I can fight my own battles. But, when you pick on something like Rachel Oates, you are going to have people come after you, and damn well you should. And he just got 10 times worse. He doubled and tripled down. And so I think he deserves everything that's coming his way. As far as the vitriol coming from people, he's just a really hyperbolic vitriol person himself. And that's my stance on it. I think this community finally realized what I realized and other people realized a long time ago with him. There you go.
Yeah, well, I'm glad you put it so eloquently. Thank you, because you're, quite a voice to put to that one. I don't know how many people do or don't know the situation. The very, very nutshell version is that Rationality Rules created a video which was about trans women in sport or trans people in sport in general. He made a few key mistakes. Was criticised, went away and corrected, and from that point on, it sort of turned into a shit show because his correction wasn't good enough for EOT, who described him a violent transphobe. His friend Rachel basically refused to not be his friend anymore just because EOT didn't approve, and EOT therefore called her a violent transphobe by association. I believe there was an incident where she was having troubles with it, and she'd mentioned it, and someone had said in her chat, "Oh, who's giving you trouble? Let me go and break their legs for you." So, an innocuous enough common enough style comment, and she'd hearted it along with a mess of other comments. EOT had seen this, and off the back of that alone, released 3 videos where he basically said, "See, she supports violence against trans people." I mean, a really extraordinary figure who was digging deeper and deeper and deeper. And his last move, his most recent one, appears to be making claims about how his wife Vegeta is now having suicidal thoughts as a result of all this, turning the victim card on, specifically in the way that he caused himself. What hypocrisy, right?
Yeah, and let me touch on that. Now, first of all, I don't want any harm coming to anybody, and of course, we all know Rachel wouldn't want anybody to be harmed. I mean, let's put all cards on the table. I would never want anybody to be harmed in any of this. But the reality is this: if you're the one causing the drama, and yes, EOT caused the issues. Rationality Rules could have been fixed his first video if he didn't hyperbolically make it way out of proportion. Did Rationality Rules make some mistakes? I think everybody agreed that there were some errors in there, but he was willing to fix them, right? So I mean, people know that he's definitely not anti-trans. He's not transphobic in any stretch of imagination. People can argue his video was that's subjective. I don't give a shit. I don't think it was, but whatever. But we know he's not. And if you're going to be the one throwing the grenades and then start yelling at people, oh, I'm throwing grenades and I'm tired of getting friendly fire, you're doing the firing.
Yes, quite well said, sir. Now look, Tatty Bogle, our producer, has something to say, and it's such a rare thing that I have to step in and get him. Tatty, what have you got, buddy?
Thank you, Jimbo. Thank you. Basically, I was just wanting to know, Steve, and also the panel's opinion on do they feel that it seems that some people will go out of their way to be offended, just looking for absolutely anything to trigger them? It kind of reminds me of what Christopher Hitchens said in one of his talks when he was talking about Dr. Johnson when he released the English dictionary, and he was approached by some respectable ladies of the town, and they said to him, Dr. Johnson, we congratulate you on not having included any profane or ungodly words in your new dictionary. To which he replied, ladies, I congratulate you on being so diligent in looking for them.
They do better. I have a word for this. It's called persecution porn.
That's a good one.
Yeah,
okay,
it's something that I've been saying for years, because I think people actually do masturbate to try to come up with this victimization card. Now, there are people out there. And I'm definitely not going to name names because I don't really want the hassle. But there are people, if you really look objectively, that will play this victim card to anytime they feel like they're losing in a debate or losing a discussion. Yeah. They will retreat. And they'll start playing this, oh, I'm being bullied, I'm being harassed, I'm a victim, every goddamn time. It is to the point where it has become ubiquitous with certain people that I will not have conversations with them, because that's and then they get their sycophants after you. It's like, oh, Steve showed me all this, but you know what? I don't want to talk to Steve anymore. I'm going to have 1,000 tweets on this and tell everybody how bad Steve is, even though I don't want to talk about it anymore.
Absolutely.
Don't sit there and go on about it and then play this victim card like you start it, you get called out on, you're proven wrong. I mean, I will win one day. Caitlin Cloy was infamous for this. G's wife.
I wondered if you were going to bring up. Yeah.
She is
infamous
for that.
Oh, geez.
I will throw that name out there. Go ahead.
The bottom of the fucking barrel now.
Am I wrong? She is fucking famous for this. She did this to me for since day one. This is one of the reasons we never got along, because I was like, every time you said something stupid, Casey, I've corrected you, because why would she try to correct me on things like epistemology? I'm just kind of curious. I mean,
I know, my God, the hubris, right?
I mean, sure, I can be fucking wrong, but she's never even read a paper or nothing on these things. And she's just making all these dumb comments that I and other people are fixing her on, and then she retreats. And I would have Godless Engineer come over to my Facebook and start berating me, saying, "Don't talk to my wife like that." This white knight for her. I'm like, dude, she's wrong. Own up to it. I'm not making this personal, but don't fucking come to my my page and start telling me that I can't tell people she's wrong. That's not harassing her and bullying her like they claim. So this is why GE and KC, if you guys want to know the inner thing, that I've never gone along with, because that is what they do, and I know they do it to other people. I've had numerous people, and you know who you are, have messaged me going, yes, GE has done the exact same thing to me. So.
Well, I have to say, I am on the block list of all of the people that we've been talking about this evening. I've tried to engage openly and honestly, and people who know me will tell you that my way of doing things is to ask questions, try not to be too pointed about it. I tend to ask things that I think are relevant or present points I think they've got wrong. I never sort of go on the attack, and that seems to have earned me lots of blockings from a variety of people, including Godless Cranium, Essence of Thought, both GE and GC. There's a number of them out there. Off the top of my head,
even if you just ask a question, even if you dare question them.
I know.
Absolutely. Although I will admit, on one thing I did ask the question, what about Bull? And that got me blocked.
What about Bull? What about Bull? Yeah, Bull got the short end of the fuck about all of this stuff. That's for sure.
Fucking A.
Did
No,
he
you
ever?
know,
That's just bullshit.
Yep. I mean,
he's been on the show. He's been in the side chat.
I
He's one
love
of our
Bull.
mods. He's an absolute legend. We respect
Bull's
him
one of the very few people I'd
enormously. So
actually
yeah,
fly to go
what about
see.
Bull?
Yeah. He's definitely one of the very few people on
Yeah.
the planet I would definitely go out of my way to go visit and actually hang out with. Yeah.
Yeah, he seems like just a genuinely nice guy. Now, I see two people who want to cut in. So, Dead Kennedy in Space, you're up, buddy.
Well, regarding the whole, you mentioned being blocked by a lot of these people. I'm blocked by most of them too. I'm blocked by Essence of Thought, GE, Casey. But my reason for being blocked by Essence of Thought is nowhere near as elegant as yours, Jimbo, because I'd never heard of them until this whole situation went down. And I kind of spent a day or two just looking through the situation and kind of deciding where I stood on it, figuring out all the facts first. And then once I did, I just went to EOT's latest post and said, "You seem like a bit of a cunt."
I remember that tweet.
I remember.
I will say the one thing about EOT is that he changed his account so that now you can only become a follower if he actually allows you to initially. You can't become a follower and then he'll ban
He's
you
made it
later
private,
on.
yeah.
He must have experienced.
Well, I think he does it every
as a
so
result
often.
of this latest-
Yeah, they play this game like poking out their heads out of a rabbit hole. A friend
Yeah,
of mine a
yeah.
long time ago coined the thing. I don't know if he coined it, but he used to say they were screaming from underneath their bed. They would kind of, shout out from underneath the bed, then poke their head out every so often, then go crying, back. Because I'm telling you straight up, Essence of Thought, Godless Cranium, and the lot of them, they are not capable of having adult, rational conversations on the levels that most of us are used to. They're just not. And because of that, I think they lashed out. And I think that they think they're a lot more intellectual than they are. And they know damn well that if they get asked the hard questions, because you guys are really good at this, you guys will ask appropriative questions. You'll say, hey, this doesn't make any sense. Let's destroy flat Earth. Let's destroy, younger creations, because it's all bullshit. And I don't think they have that skill set. And I think it actually aggravates them, and they don't know how to actually have conversations. And so by the other way of doing it is, I'm just going to throw bullshit out there and, collect these group of people that kind of agree with me. They're just as stupid, which they've done, and have a little echo chamber.
Indeed. Well, I'm going to go to Logical Troglodyte next, but I did want to ask a very quick question about what you thought about Noel Plum's coverage of the situation recently.
I love Noel Plum. I love
Is he
him.
not fantastic? I'm glad that he said that. All right, marvelous. Well,
Yeah, I've known Noel for a while. I never was too close to him. Just kind of in passing, but I've been a huge fan from a distance. But I've really gotten to know him, especially in the last 6 months or no, especially after this whole EOT stuff. And I've watched his videos and shouted them out before, and he's shouted out one of my videos, and I guess he really liked the video that I did with Sarah Michelle and Lizzie.
Yeah, that was great.
And so. That video that we did on Transit Sports should have been the conversation from day one if EOT had not did what he did. This was the conversation that needed to be taking place, and yet all EOT wanted to do was destroy the conversation. It makes sense, because remember that video I told you that he had enlisted that 3 years ago? He said people should not have these conversations. The conversation is over. This is the way it is. There's no discussion about it. This is what he believes. And so I actually am convinced he was doing all this just to shut down conversation. And if you didn't like what he had to say, you were transphobic. And of course, this little group of sycophants like Goddess Iowin and Goddess Cranium and Miss Snarky and that whole group, Christiosity, I'll name them all because I just have nothing to do with any of them.
Oh, Christiosity. I used to make some, not good videos, but I used to feel like she was making the effort. And then I don't know exactly where that went wrong at some point, but it sort of fell off the wayside, and she became another one of these gaggling sycophants for that appalling crowd who, worst of all, don't seem to realize they're doing far more harm to the cause they appear to be championing than good for it. It's breathtaking. Don't seem to understand it. Now, look, Logical Troglodyte's been trying to jump in for a while. It's only right that I go to him next. Logical, mate. Hello.
Well, and most people in the audience and everybody on this panel knows what profession I'm retired from. So I do not want people to mistake what I'm about to say as a diagnosis of an individual. It is simply a diagnosis of the situation with people like EOT and Godless Cranium and that ilk.
Okay.
That basically, it's if you can't tell who started the drama, it's you. If you have to play the victim card because you're losing a debate, or if you have to attack somebody because it doesn't agree with your particular narrative, then it's time to shut the fuck up, sit down, and learn a little bit more about something and let the adults talk. When you can speak and debate like an adult, then you're welcome to join back in. Otherwise, fuck off.
Yeah, I agree. I
That's why he's
cannot find anything wrong with that. You're exactly right, and I don't know what you did, but yeah, I've noticed the same thing with certain people that they're just trying to hobble the conversation, and I'm not interested in that. So we just say, you know what, you guys do your thing, let us do our thing, and they can't stop us. But what they're going to try to do is try to go after our fans. They're going to try to say, oh, look, Steve is doing this on his channel. He's a bad man. I've been called a Nazi. I've been called a rape apologist. I've been called, a hate monger. I've been called a bigot.
It's funny you should say that, because as time's beginning to dwindle on the show somewhat. We had a backup debunk video in case we couldn't think of things to talk about. That's gone out of the window. But look, I want to ask you about this,
yeah, well, that's what I said the odds of us ever getting to a video means we'd have to have a 5-hour episode, man.
Nonetheless, I want to push that point, because I've got to have to turn to Kiri Mac and Jutmonkthedrunk in a moment. Well, I want to ask about the Fiona Roberts situation. Robinson? I've forgotten, because that's been hilarious. You've been accused of being, of all things, a rape apologist, right? It is breathtaking, the scope of the accusation. The video that she made is laughable. I've seen at least 3 people cut it into, very tiny ribbons and explain why it's wrong, not least Noel Plum and Red's Rhetoric. I wonder what your comment was on the situation. Maybe if you gave people a quick nutshell version of what it is.
Did Noel do something on it?
I think he did, yeah.
Okay,
maybe I'm getting my memory confused.
I know Red did. Yeah, here's the thing. Here's the thing. She was actually one of the names I was never going to mention ever again.
Sorry.
Well, no, I have mentioned her because of this, but there are certain names that are out there that I will never utter publicly. And the reason I do that is because that's what they want, is attention. And I find them to be vile, reprehensible people without any kind of ethical considerations. Here we have a woman who has a PhD in biology who spends 99.9% of her time smearing other people and talking shit rather than educating. She has a vast amount of biological knowledge. I'll never fault her for that. But instead of actually using that knowledge to make videos to explain to biology, she spends her time talking shit and smearing people. That's what she does. Now, I knew this about Fiona. One of my dear friends, well, I'm not going to say their name because it just caused a problem, but I had a dear friend, a mutual friend of ours, that recognizes as well with her. And she told me, Steve, you just need to get away from these people. You need to extricate them from your life. Just move on. And she said, success is your best revenge. Let them just mull in the muck and do their thing and smear people. You go on and do your thing. But they have not let me alone, which is fine. It's done nothing but propel me. It's been nothing but help me in the long run, right? But Fiona's one of those people that just has not. She holds grudges for oh my God, for endless time. It never goes away. Even back when I was associated with her, she was bringing up shit from 5-6 years prior. She still talks about the shit that happened with G-Man and
oh my God,
and other people. She doesn't let things go. But anyways, this whole rape apologist shit, which by the way, she was trying to run the narrative. Well, I wasn't really calling Steve a rape apologist. The fuck you weren't. This thing called literature.
Is that what she's changed to now? Those were the words that we used.
But other people, I put her in a place. People are like, Fiona, at least own up to the fact that you were implying it, and that don't be a little bitch, right? But
yeah,
the whole thing is this: I have who I want on my channel. That's it. I have who I want. I make the decisions. I stand by them. I will not change anything. I have done my due diligence. I'm convinced to the point where I don't think that this man did what they claim. And I've read all the papers, but people are unfairly convicted, right? I've talked to him. I've talked to his best friend. I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. I'm perfectly allowed to do that and have my opinion. That's not rape apology.
No, quite. Now, see, this is the specific point I wanted you to explain, because Red Rhetoric made quite a good video about it, but I'd like to hear your specific viewpoint on it, because as far as I can understand, the way it breaks down is that the act of rape apology is to say that, yes, the rape happened, but it doesn't count as a rape in some sense, as opposed to you saying you don't believe he was guilty of the crime that he was convicted of in that instance, right?
Yeah, more specifically, rape apology would be, well, did you see what she was wearing? Yeah, she was drinking. Sure. Really, she wanted it. That's rape apology.
She had it coming. That sort of thing.
She had it coming. Oh, she was giving him the eye. That kind of thing. Those are all kind of rape apologist types things. I have never done that, nor would I ever do anything that horrific. My opinion is based upon the evidence that I've seen, which is the actual documentation, why that documentation came out, talking to him directly, which nobody else did, talking to his fans, talking to his best friend. He has a huge channel and a lot of supporters. So I'm not the only one that's convinced by the evidence that there's been much more to the story than people let on. But if that's the case, then all I'm guilty of is believing somebody and be wronging about it. That's it.
Yeah,
I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt because I've seen it happen with other people. And if it was rape apology, then why is it that every person for Amnesty International and other people that are fighting for like African Americans have been unfairly convicted because of people that have been convicted of murder, that they're trying to tell people, hey, this person was unfairly convicted. Are they now murder apologists? And one more thing I'll add to it. And one more thing I'll add to it. It's weird that I got called a rape apologist when obviously I condone the act. But I never was called a breaking and entering apologist or a cocaine apologist because I happen to have a partner who was convicted of breaking and entering and cocaine possession. Nobody fucking said shit all about apology for their, but I was like, okay, I'm looking past the felonies, which are documented felonies. I'm like, okay, I don't think that you're that person any longer or whatever. I put that aside to the fact that I wanted to have a good show. And what News Now Houston and I were talking about had nothing to do with anything else. But I know for a fact, this is the God honest truth. He told me ahead of time, Steve, I have a group of trolls that are after me that are relentless. And if you get involved with me, you will be targeted. And he was absolutely right. There's a Discord server that he told me about that I actually was in, that I was invited to go do a show with somebody else. And all those trolls came in and tried nothing but convince me of all this other shit. I was like, very straight up, this is not what I'm here for. Let's do the show. I'll talk about what we're supposed to talk about, but I'm not here for you guys to convince me about his guilt or innocence. It's just, I don't have time for that right now, and I'm not interested. Let's just do this. But they wouldn't have stopped. I left them, and for weeks they came after me and trolled my videos. They voted my videos. They harassed me on Twitter. I blocked them all. But it just led me to the credence that this guy's been honest with me the entire time. He gave me warning about this shit. And I know firsthand that I have the same kind of thing. I have people sitting in Discord talking shit about me, right? So
absolutely,
the most I can be guilty of is that my judgment was skewed and I got fucked again. Fair enough. You know what? I'm not always right. I try to give people the benefit of the doubt. That's the biggest thing you have a criticism-wise against me. I'll take it. But for her to actually try to run a narrative that I'm a rape apologist, that just backfired spectacularly. And Res Rhetoric and Cheshire they just blew that fucking shit out of the water.
Absolutely.
So I will never mention. But try never to mention Fiona ever again. I don't want to talk about her. She's not important to me. That whole clan that she's with, I've left them a long time ago. I don't want to be around them. I don't want to associate with them. I don't want to have my name with them. Now they're gonna continue. Let them. Of course. But I gotta tell you, all they've done is perpetuate me because I've told people from day one, I have people that'll do this and troll and will run narrative and spin, and it will to me and my friends, which by the way, that has happened as well. And all it does is vindicate me. It just shows that I've been telling the truth the entire time.
Absolutely. All right. Well said. Look, now I'm going to turn to Kiri Mac quickly because she's got the questions and comments from the audience, and it's been a little while since I've spoken. How are you doing, Kiri?
I could be a talkative.
Oh, that's fine.
Have you met me?
It's great.
No, this is great. No shortage of comments and questions tonight. So I'll read out a couple comments and then I've got a question for the panel. Steve, Ash Scott is saying that you used to speak to Kyle, so you must be a fucking theft apologist. I mean,
same thing, yeah.
Right?
I must apologize for breaking and entering, right? Which
right,
was
all of that.
A church. Broken into
So, going back a little bit to Essence of Thought, Mr. Victory said that EOT is worse than donkey nuts in the summer. That's got to be pretty bad. And also, Rachel never put herself out there to deserve it, he says. He needs to pick on someone his own size, so appreciate the sentiment.
But he blocks those people. Here's the thing. I stood up to EOT and I told him to fucking eat a dick, right? I'm like, you're not going to push me around. And what did he do? He blocked me, which is fine. He's more than happy to. But then he'd go on and continue. Look at Steve. He's being a bigot. He's being a transphobe. And Godless Cranium will chime in, and Godless Iowan will chime in, and that whole fucking group over there will chime in. But they're doing it behind a wall because nobody gives a fuck about them. And they certainly don't take me on.
He's disgusting.
There are a couple of outliers, aren't there, though? So what do you feel about, for instance, like you've got Godless Cranium sort of more on the in crowd, say, but then Sirius the Skeptic's had a few viewpoints as well. What do you think about what he's been saying?
Well, Godless Cranium, like I said, he used to be a friend. He was one of our first people on our podcast. He's been on the show.
Oh yeah,
he
I remember, but he's changed so much.
Yeah, he got woke, went broke, and became a joke. I mean, he basically just went off the fucking deep end, you know?
Love it.
Well, about
Source I love though.
Sorry, Kiri, go ahead. Sorry.
no problem. I have to say, Ash Scott in the comment section every week, she is there with the funniest, most amazing comments, and she's bang on every time. She's got one here that I think we'll all appreciate. It's from a little while back, but I need to read it out. She said, "I have a vagina, but I never used to have boobs, so I am uniquely qualified to say that Essence thought is a cunt, and nobody can say that to me because I'm basically trans." So I mean, yeah.
There you
Oh,
go.
don't, because he'll just call her token though. That's his latest thing. Is that
Token?
when
Oh,
members
yeah.
of the trans
God.
community
Yeah.
stood out and said, "You
Token,
don't
and then-
represent us."
I mean,
Go, sorry, Steve, go ahead.
People are calling Sarah Michelle a token, and then at the same time telling her she was transphobic herself. And I'm like, do you understand how dumb you sound when you say something like that? I'm like, you're telling a trans person she's a token, and then 2 seconds later, oh, she's actually transphobic. What? But you mentioned Cyrus. Hey, I'm a huge fan of Cyrus. I think he's very objective. I think he's very thorough. And of course, he was one of the very few that was originally willing to stand up and say, you know what, when it came to all this atheism, agnostic stuff, Steve's fucking perfectly spot on right. Now he uses the terms, you know, kind of differently, but he at least accepts that everything I've said has been correct. Unlike other people are like, oh, well, Steve's wrong by fiat. Like, oh, well, yeah, I'm sorry. If Aaron Ross says I'm wrong on philosophy, we all know that he must be right on that.
Well, this thing I've been accused of arguing by authority, see, but what I've tried to point out is that the literature clearly defines how agnostic, atheist, and theist essentially are, and an atheist is not an absence. I'm afraid it's literally the case of no gods. It's the positive claim, more or less. So you've got your theist, one positive claim, atheist, the opposite positive claim, and then agnostic, which is more or less the thing in the middle.
Yes, that's perfectly. I would totally agree with that. Yeah, that's how it's normatively. But then you have
to understand how that's changed.
Because you have these people that okay, a little bit of knowledge is dangerous kind of thing, right? And so they'll be like, well, you know, agnosticism about knowledge. And I'm like, well, the people that say that, I automatically know they really haven't read shit about it. It's not exactly like completely false, but it's very myopic of how their understanding of it is. Because there's here's the thing, I'll put this out there, and if anybody wants to ever kind of talk to me about it, I'm more than willing to, so I don't go too much into this. But if you come at me and you don't know the difference between a normative epistemic principle, an epistemic proposition, and a psychological state when it comes to agnosticism, you're not going to do well against me. You're not going to fare very well. So,
well, then I'm afraid to ask the next one because it's my personal question, which is, how do you feel about the proposition of theological non-cognitivists?
We're doing a show on that next Friday with Ozzy and Nick Suter. How do you like that?
I shall look forward to that then. Fair enough.
I think Ozzy and I pretty much think eye to eye. I have my own unique perspective on it that kind of, I hate to say it, but actually differs from Oppe's, if you know Graham Oppy.
Sure.
Okay, I love Dr. Graham Oppy. I kind of differ on my opinion than him, which we're allowed to do because, you know, it's philosophy, right? These are opinions.
Yeah.
But I have my own perspective of how I look at the difference between theological non-cognitivism and ichtheism or agnosticism. And I think it's kind of coherent. And I'm going to be running that by Ozzy on Friday.
Okay.
And I think it's going to be an interesting discussion because, again, one of those people, I don't want to just parrot shit. I just don't want to like rote memorization shit. I actually want to like contribute to the topic. Not just
absolutely
educate people. And so I've come up with my own arguments. I've come up with my own logical proofs, which is something you don't see much, but they've been talked about. My stuff has been talked about in atheist circles. And I'm thrilled when I actually have somebody like Ozzy will evaluate my positions and things like that nature, because people are like, well, if you haven't published, you shouldn't be taken seriously. I had somebody say that the other day. I was like, well, that's not necessarily the case. I'm a layperson, but I think people do take me seriously because I present well-articulated arguments. So don't have a genetic fallacy, you know?
Absolutely. Well, I think how you're regarded within the community, if the community has a sort of valid spectrum to it, is just as important as the number of publishings that you've had. Clearly, that's sort of a goalpost marker rather than actual qualification.
I would love to one day. Don't get me wrong. I really would. But I got to tell you, I had Dr. His name was Dr. Malik, and he wrote a paper called Atheism and the Burden of Proof, I believe it was. Defining Atheism and the Burden of Proof.
Oh, yeah, okay.
I liked that paper so much that I formulated some arguments based upon his work and Dr. Malpass's work. and he really, really liked it. I was in correspondence with him for quite some time, and he actually shouted me out on his Facebook, and because I made a video on it, and he said, "I am honored to have Steve McRae, evaluate my paper and stuff like that." And that to me was the pinnacle. I was like, "This is great," because I'm never going to be I'm not going to publish. And I love to, but that's just not my thing. I'm not that qualified to publish papers. But to have an actual, an expert who did have a paper say, "You know what? I really like this evaluation. I like Steve's argument on this, and he's got a lot of great points." And I had Stephen Hoyt, who is a philosophy person. He evaluated it. That to me, you don't find very often from the community. You don't find a lot of atheists or skeptics formulating their own arguments and being novel and being de novo kind of thing, with new arguments rather than just parroting the old stuff that they learned. I want to add to the conversation. So I appreciate that they did that.
Well, that's incredibly laudable. I think that was very well put. Now, look, we've basically used up all our time on the show tonight, but what I'm going to do is normally I'd go around the team one by one and give them all the chance to have their final thoughts and chill out. But rather than spend 25 minutes doing that today, I think what we're going to do is I'm going to give everyone who wants the opportunity to sort of jump in now pretty much if they want to. And in the meantime, while they line up on the buzzer, I'm going to talk to Kiri Mac and see if we've got any final comments there. Kiri, you got anything in the chat?
Oh, so much going on in the chat. It's brilliant. There's it's a question from Casual Spaceman, but I think we've pretty much already discussed it. I just want to read it out because it makes a really good point. He says, "It seems that many are offended on behalf of those that are meant to be offended, yet they're the victims. He sees it time and time again on Twitter. Crazy shit." And I think that's the thing, isn't it? It's being offended on behalf of somebody else who, that's to me the patronizing thing to do.
It's demeaning.
It's absolutely, and it's ironic that these people are getting all bent out of shape because of something that somebody has said regarding somebody else, and that person doesn't even give a shit.
I love that though. When on Twitter, when I'll run into somebody who will start coming after me, and I'll have the donkey tree, which is a Jen or anti-ordinary or Sarah or many other trans friends of mine. They'll be like, "Hey, you know what?" Telling the other person, "You don't speak for me. Stop it. Stop trying to talk for all trans people." And I'm like, there you go, because that's what I see people do. They're offended on behalf of people that are my friends, and it's like, look, if my friend has an issue and they're offended, they will make note of that. They will let you know. But as soon as you start trying to white knight them, I don't blame them for getting offended.
Hell no. I think
really don't.
You hit the nail right on the head, especially with the essence of thought. He does not speak for the entire trans community, not at all, not even nearly,
Nope, not remotely so. I look, if I had to vote for a spokesperson, and of course I'm biased, and of course nobody speaks for the community, but I'm a huge fan of Sarah Michelle. The first time I watched one of her videos, she had like 100 subs or some shit. And I'm like, who is this person? She's brilliant. She makes great cogent arguments. Let's get her known. Let's work with her.
Nice.
And I'm thrilled to death that she has been, part of my inner circle now. And if I was like somebody who has a articulate way of talking about things, it's her.
Yeah.
It's certainly the video.
I think I can agree with you there. Now, Dick Dawson, you wanted to jump in.
Yeah. Sorry there. What I was thinking here, I'm totally distracted because I got a little man running around and stuff too, right? I send him out the room and then I can play Dick Dawson better and swear, but he's here right now. So, what I wanted to know is, I wanted to get out in the open here is, Steve, you have a very important day coming up on the 30th of the month, do you not?
On the 30th?
Yeah.
Are you talking about something legally?
Yeah. Well, coming up the 30th coming up, you have you should be all set after the 30th to be able to discuss things non-sec, correct?
Maybe. Yeah. Well, sort of. Yeah. 30th. I'm hoping, but I'm not going to get into that very much. But by next month, I should be able to for sure. I mean, things still have to process.
Sure. Right, of course. And the reason I linked up to it.
Go ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
No, please go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say the only date of appointments I give a shit about right now is October 12th.
Oh, that's the big one. All
okay.
right, awesome, awesome.
Do you know
Yeah,
what
I
that's
just,
for?
I just wanted to, let everybody know that there is a light at the end of the tunnel, and you'll be able to finally, really unleash and let that cat out of the hat real soon.
Yeah, you don't know. I don't think you know what the October 12th thing is. It has nothing to do with anything.
Oh, is it?
Oh.
Is it something different? Oh, I beg your pardon. Sorry.
Oh yeah. Just see if the live chat knows what's happening.
Oh yeah, absolutely. We'll let them cut forward. Okay, go back to Kiri Mac.
I'm not going to give the time away, just the date. Even though I probably should have said the person asked me don't give the date or time away, but what the hell's going to be a day? But
well, it's one date. There's only 365 of them.
Yeah, whatever. Anyways, no, I have a friend that's coming to fly to see me that I'm taking out to dinner, and
I
I'm looking
say.
forward to that flight.
Oh,
So
very good.
I've got an actual date to take, and I'm flattered. I'm honored to actually.
Oh, wow.
That's the thing that I give a shit
Right
about. Because there are real people involved in these things. There are people don't realize that when you're on the internet and you put your life out there publicly. Because my life is public. My address is public. Has been for years. I am basically an open book. I'm on Facebook. I have people that on my Facebook that I've known since I was 6 years old. I have my babysitters are still on my Facebook page that I talk to. I have a long history.
Wow.
And I have 13
amazing.
ex-girlfriends on my Facebook page. Right?
Good
And so I have earned, and I'm just going to say it, I have earned a little bit of respect and consideration as far as having an ethical personality all my life. I have been ethical from I was 2 years old or something like that, or 3 years old. I was a really young kid, and I remember my mom specifically giving me a dime and my sister a quarter, and I didn't have enough for a pack of gum or something like that, and I just took it. And my mom made me go back and talk to the manager, and I was crying my eyes out like a little hysterical little bitch, because I was right, and I deserved it. I had good parents, right? But I learned from that.
That's great.
And so
it's funny you say
pride
that.
myself in
I had
stuff.
identical story at that age. I stole a packet of peanuts from the shop. My dad found out. He took me back to the shop, made me go in front of the manager. I was about 4 years old. Exactly the same. I consider it great parenting looking back.
Yeah,
I had a pocket full of
gummies.
gummies at the cash register. My dad said, "Where'd you get those gummies?" And I pointed over to the bulk thing where I pulled them off the edge of the thing. I'm like, "Well, I just got them from the edge. It doesn't matter." He made me put the gummies on the thing and told the guy to bill me something for the gummies. Took it out of my piggy bank when we got home.
Yeah, that's good parenting. I'm sorry, but I think that's how you actually do instill ethical value. People have asked me, where do you get your ethics from? And I'm like, my parents. And I've had people like G-Man laugh at that. I'm like, G-Man, you're an idiot, because I do read about ethical theories, and I find nothing wrong with saying that you have ethics, instilled in you from good parenting. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing weird about saying that. But anyways, I'm just saying that I think that I've earned a little bit of consideration as fact that I probably, by being so public, there are certain groups of people that will give me the least amount of principle of charity while giving pieces of shit the most amount of principle of charity. And I don't understand that. Those are people that I just don't want to have around, because there are some people in the community that no matter what they do could do no wrong, even though they're the biggest, slimiest pieces of shit around. And yet I have a minor inconsistency, which if you came and asked me about, I can explain. They'll run with and say, look, Steve's a liar. Oh, Steve has, Steve's this, Steve's that. It's just mind-boggling, because I've been as transparent as possible, but there's certain things I can't get into, obviously, but I won't reveal people's private messages, and that's the only thing that's fucked me, because people have taken advantage of that, be going, well, show us all this. I'm like, no, I won't, because these are private correspondences. I've shown specific people that I trust, and they can, ethical people that if you want to believe them, great. If you don't, whatever. That's as far as I'm going to do, because I'm not revealing private communications. But I'm just pointing out that if people want to come after me and want to think that I'm unethical or that I'm lying, God bless you. But you know what? Good luck trying to ever show anybody that I've ever lied. Good luck, because
man,
just fine. I will donate $100 to charity of their choice if they can show any instance of me actually lying.
Nice.
Go for it. Because it's not happened. It never happened.
Indeed. Well, look, I think we're pretty much there for time on the rest of the show. So, if anyone on the panel has one last thing that they'd like to throw in, now is basically the time. So, speak now or forever hold your peace.
Sub to
Lovely.
Brainy
Well, I'm
Beaver.
gonna take
I got
them.
nothing else I could say.
Great.
This was a lot of fun. Thanks for having me.
You're more than welcome. Well, that's actually what I was going to ask Steve as well. Is that I was going to ask whether or not there were any last things you'd like an opportunity to sort of chill out for, new producers, new content stuff you've got coming that's just come out, anything really.
Yeah, and let me throw a caveat. The first person who wants to take me up on that offer, let me know. You come to me in private and you say I have an instance where you lied. It's all going to be recorded, and if you can show that I lied, I will donate $100 to the charity of your choice. But I can't do that a million times. But the first person that wants to take me up on that offer, let's do it.
Nice.
Okay.
Yeah,
Good
nice.
one.
Because have you guys ever seen anybody actually provide evidence that I've lied? No, they're like, well, there's some inconsistencies here. What Steve said, yes, but when you actually, what's that word again? Starts with a C, ends in text.
Context.
Oh, yeah.
Context.
And I want to thank Nick Suter because he's actually, he's put it in great context, and Glenn Williamson. But the only thing I'm not really doing much until again October. But I am doing stuff with Cheshire Vic on Mondays called Caffeine Corner. We're going to start promoting the fuck out of that probably soon in a week, next month. That's going to be actually a show that I think we're going to do. I really love her having as a co-host. I think we gel exceptionally well, and I think
Absolutely.
I think that's going to be fun. I do have Ask a Philosopher still. I'm doing that on Fridays usually with Nick, and I have Ozzy coming in with that. So I think we are going to do non sequitur type stuff as well on my channel. And if I get I'll say it, if I get the non sequitur show channel back, we'll see what happens there. I am requesting for it back because this bullshit that has been said that I didn't start that channel. Fuck you. I have the date that I transferred it over to Kyle. I started that channel. I have the actual date and timestamp and when it transferred to him. And I was livid when I found out him that this isn't talking about the legal stuff. This is talking about what he said in Discord. So I will say it. He was like, "Well, what do you mean Steve started that channel? If Steve started that channel, then how did I get a hold of it?" Oh, really? You want to play that? Okay.
Really?
When we read papers, you know how he got a hold of it.
Well, not to mention all of that.
I think too much.
Well, that'll all be red tape.
When he went up his fucking nose and he can't remember anymore, Steve. That's a fucking problem.
Hanging it with the Morgile.
Bang out of order, man. I just sat here listening to that, and that's just like, what an arse wipe.
Point
of course, I started that channel. I said from day one we were doing the podcast, and again, this is all public anyway, so this is no news information. But I have said we were doing the podcast, and I tried to convince him to do it to YouTube because I was on YouTube, and I said this is a good vehicle. He didn't want to do it, and then when we started, he didn't want to have a live chat. I'm like, dude, we got to have a live chat. Live chat is critical. And so I had all these stuff, and all of a sudden I'm relegated to 5% of everything. I'm like, what? Yeah, I can't do I can't do the music. Ash is right. So fuck me. I can't do the music.
Well, Steve, I am happy to be a guest regularly on all of your successful channels you're working on.
Yeah, I'll turn it over to you guys.
Sub slut.
Okay, I don't care. I got the lube ready. Kill me your subs.
Hey, Steve.
Like Steve said, you want good subs, though. Let's face it. You want people that want to watch you.
Well, yeah, you guys. But one last thing, will the Shills come on for Rum and Coke night? If I can do it at a time where everybody's like, I know you guys are all over the world and shit, so we'll do like an early edition or something one of these weekends and have you guys.
Fuck yeah!
Love to.
It's getting so I can be.
And actually, on that note, I was thinking of having you guys all on my channel too. That might be a bit of a shit show, but we can do it. I'm sure
we can do it. It'd be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
All right. Look, that's it, ladies and gentlemen. Look,
thank you both, gentlemen.
No, it isn't, because I wanted to ask Steve a question.
Oh, go on, John.
Or I rather wanted to say, if there's anyone he'd like me to insult, I'm really very good at it.
Yeah, you're good. You're really articulate in your wordsmithing. I kind of like that. There's a guy back in the community way back when. His name was Gus Bellinger, and he was the most professional tongue lasher I've ever seen in my entire life. You remind me a lot of him because you're a wordsmith on that. That's very, very good.
You got to have one in the group, and holy shit, does he take the reins and run, brother?
I love it. Fucking Globe denying wank spanners. Tear them up.
All right, well, that's a beautiful thing to finish the show, I think. Thank you ever so much for that, Jutmonk. That's it, ladies and gentlemen. I'll have to remind you all as like, subscribe, and hit the bell, but then that's the whole point of the show, so I assume you've done it already, and if not...
I can do this, though, Jim.
Oh, yeah. Hello, Mr. Jim. Well, they say they'll stand free range chicken.
It didn't work properly on my end. Did it work properly on your end?
No, it was all
Can't voice me to cocking up.
Oh, never mind. Shame.
That was the proverbial train wreck. Well done.
Next week.
I've been
We
so
get better
quiet
every week.
getting things done, and it's like that fucks up at the end like bollocks.
Oh, never mind. It's all right, though. It's all right. We will battle ever bravely onwards. Like, the same thing's happened. My tablet's just turned off in my hand, so I've got to turn it on and fill with dead air. Right. Basically, we're going to be back. We'll have more great guests, more hot topics, more harebrained hucksters. So come back next Thursday and Saturday, and we'll see you here. Meanwhile, it's a very good morning, good afternoon, and good night, wherever you are. I'm going to hand you over one last time to Mr. Dick Dawson to wrap up proceedings. Mr. Dawson, if you please.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, there's two things to take away from tonight's episode. Number one, if you've got an outside opinion and you really think you got something to say, get your ass on Twitter and step to Steve McRae. He'll show you if you really deserve to be in the fucking ring. Number two, I'm gotta say that this new PubChat talk show version of the Shills is going rather well. So please, everybody, get in the comments and let us know what you think so we know what you like going forwards, because we aim to please, although we're still going to do what we fucking want. So, ladies and gentlemen, what can I say? I'm Dick Dawson. That was the Shills. Thanks to Steve McRae, Brainy Beaver, and we're out of here. Goodbye.
Bye.